Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Hey guys, everyone. We're back with another episode of the Wikid Weekend Podcast. Yeah, God, that's a tongue twister. The Wikid Weekend Podcast. Episode number 13 coming at you. So we got Jeremy, we got Scott, and we got Chuck. Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good morning.
Oh, I'm Michael.
Well, technically for me it would be afternoon because it's 12 o'clock. So
lucky you. I wish it was after 12 o'clock here.
That's why he wants the early segment.
There is no early segment for him.
No. Well, it allows me not to break up my day too, because actually I got up about an hour ago. I was on a stream last night with me, Bob Jones, and John Dillard. We were on a stream last night till like 3 a.m.
Jesus, dude.
Wow.
Oh my God. I didn't realize you guys were streaming that late.
Oh yeah. Well, I you know what? I it's the weekend. I don't have a lot of homework. I only have
Nice.
So today is my day for just messing around. You know, today's gonna be my stream day. Everything. I'm like, you know what? I'm just taking one day just to detox.
Yeah, that's definitely needed, I think.
For sure.
Well, that kind of brings up an interesting point I never thought about. So the podcast is really late afternoon for you, in a way, because it kind of gets towards the 3 o'clock there.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us, guys. I know you guys have a lot of stuff on your plate, and you guys got a lot going on, so I appreciate you making the time for it.
Oh, anytime.
And Jeremy, speaking of which, you're in the middle of a campaign right now. How's your Movie Men campaign going?
It's going fairly well, but the sporks are still beating me, so I'm mount a comeback.
Nice.
No, we're at about 11. I think a little over 1150 right now.
Nice.
And we've got 41 days. I can't get into Indiegogo right now for some reason. But you got 41 days to go. I think 41 or 42.
I've got it right here. You've got 1157, 42 days left to go, and 32 backers.
Yep. There you go. So it's coming along decently. It's funny. Every day that I get at least one new backer, I don't care what level it's at. If it's at, $4 or $999, I'm happy because that means I got another reader.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And that's what I'm aiming for, is to get, 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or any number of backers in a day.
And that's actually, I agree with that. That's how a good way to keep it going. If you can get one backer a day or whatever, you know what I mean? Yep.
Because look, I have a fixed goal, so the money is important, but the thing that's more important to me is just to, for the longer term, just to get readers for this, because I think they're going to enjoy it. I think they're going to share it. I think they're going to come back for more.
Nice. Yeah, and that's always what you want as a writer and a creator, is for your work to be enjoyed by readers.
Yeah, exactly.
It's almost the same philosophy for Twitter followers.
I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of Twitter people who can get away with just tweeting out nothing out there, for the ether. But Chuck, how's your campaign going?
Well, we're doing really good. We actually, with the one backing I got today, a good backer of ours, a good friend in the comics Twitter sphere, Nerdy Texas Accountant, just got his backing to me. So I'm going to deposit that, and we're going to be at 1766 with 37 backers.
Nice.
So the great thing is that will put us a lot higher on our goal. I mean, we got 12 days left. I'm hoping. I got a lot of people who said, towards the beginning of May, they're going to be able to back us. So I'm hoping that, we'll get close to our flex goal. The nice thing is, either which way, I mean, with this, our colorist is paid for, and we can color it. So now we're hoping to raise the final money to get the lettering redone. If not, we'll just use the original lettering, and it'll be out to people.
Nice, and then you can move on and go to the next phase, which is Porkman on the High Seas, which I know you guys are excited about as well.
Yep. Yep, and then we're actually gonna start looking for artists on that while that's gonna be Eric's head manning that part of the phase, because I'm gonna be working on with Ginger and Jay Ashiro to get the stuff done. I'm going to be working on, and then with you guys, of course, getting the print copies to you guys, or the finalized copies to everything to get to you guys. So he's going to start looking for artists, and I'm going to, give him recommendations and stuff like that. So any artists is out there looking, we're going to look for people who could do sequential art and conceptual art.
So Ninja's not coming back?
Ninja he's got another project he is on right now. So I'd like to get him, but I don't know what his schedule is. So we're hoping to get him.
Okay.
Hard to say at this point, though. It seems.
Yeah, I don't know what his schedule is like, because I know he's working a full-time job now, and plus with his kids, and he is doing some work with Scientific Comics, and I know with Doug Garrett, he's also doing the project with him too.
Oh,
wow!
cool.
Oh, really? Interesting. Do you happen to know what project you're working on with Doug?
Cyclotron, I do believe it's called.
Oh, wow, I hadn't heard about that one. Cool.
Yeah, so I would love to get Ninja back, because we got some great conceptual art for the Sharkster from him and Sportman. I don't know what his schedule's like, so we'll take closer. Eric wants to just see who's out there and see, because we want to kind of go with a different style with the on the high seas. So we want to give some love to other people out there too. So
okay.
Plus, then we are also going to be also doing some conceptual art for Natsumi Spearhead, which is going to be our spin-off manga for Sportman Goes to Japan.
Okay.
Nice. Keep that Natsumi character going.
Yep. We really like the Natsumi character. I'm imagining her going more towards a magical girl type show, or manga, because with her dealing with her, mystical weapon and stuff like that, Plus, then we also have the other projects, Volt Chaos, Myth Gods in the works still, and Wraith. So
nice, dude. That's awesome. I like how you guys got a lot of stuff in the in the works. That's always good.
Yep.
Nice. Well, I like how you guys are both neck and neck. That's pretty awesome. It's gonna be a fun race to the finish line.
When would be a good time for me to go on your channel?
I Fridays and Saturday nights are the nights I tend to do my live streams.
Okay. All right. We'll talk.
Okay.
When was the last time you did a stream, Chuck?
I actually had one last week.
Oh, nice. And how'd that go, man?
Pretty good. I actually let's see who was on with me last week. God, my brain is. This weekend's been a really busy week at work. We went down 2 people at work again. So so we had a really, really packed week. Let me see here. Let me pull up my channel here, and I can tell you who it was. Last night I was actually supposed to have Josh Howard on. I don't know if you guys know him or not. He did Dead at 17 and T-Bird and Throttle.
Yeah.
Yep. I was supposed to have him on last night, but he had some family come into town, so he rescheduled for next week.
Okay.
So, give me a moment here. Why?
Okay.
He's got his own hold music.
Let's see here.
At least we're not getting rickrolled.
Hey, you could happen. Still, you never know.
Yeah, last week was John Delarose.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, what's weird.
Yeah,
and I also had that stream was a really weird stream. I had me, Matt Trin, and Bob Jones from Meeting of the Minds, and we were actually in the middle of the campaign. I was reviewing John Staresti's Zoe and my brain is frying on his comic. So I tell you, this week has been a really crappy week. So I was doing the middle of this review, and we were talking about like why why comics are not made for kids right now. How they need to be, that this needs to be a really avenue that people need to explore. And then like right in the middle of the stream cut out on YouTube.
Yeah.
So we had to restart over again and stuff like that. So
I was on the draw and talk stream, and about 7 minutes in, it just died. We had to start it again.
Huh. We're lucky we've never had that happen on the podcast so far, but that's strange.
Knock on wood.
Knock on wood. Well, there's been really real things like John, when I was on with John Malin on Thursday, like Gary Shipman was on, and door knocker Scott was there too, and like we were talking, like Gary could not hear anything from me whatsoever.
Yeah, that's another.
We did have that.
We've had that multiple times.
I was on FanSpeak this week, and so the booster came out and in a couple of times. Mm-hmm. And finally Chester just said, all right, well, you say something and then I'll tell Jeremy what you said and get a response. And that's how we ended up doing it.
Oh, wow.
It was crazy. And then it was funny. I went back and listened to it, and at a couple of different points, he totally misrepresented what he'd said.
You got to take advantage of the situation.
That's right. It was really funny.
So, and then, so I'm hoping that, we can get a few more streams, but Jeremy, I would definitely want to get you guys on, I'm free. We'll talk offline and we'll get you scheduled. Okay. I want to, because I know you're coming to a big hump. We need to get you on there to get you over.
Yeah.
Middle of the campaigns always tend to kind of fall flat, no matter what. It's that I don't know why it is why that middle of the month always struggles for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of reasons. We could actually talk about that. But yeah, it's definitely you got to get over. The other thing is some of it's enthusiasm, right? No one else is out. I mean, yes, you have some fans that are out there promoting it, and that's great. I love those people. But the person that's most responsible for promoting it is you. And in the middle of it, you're just going to, you're not going to be able to keep firing on all cylinders the whole time, And you got to find a way to revive yourself to revive the campaign.
Yeah. Well, and that's why we're doing, like last week, last Saturday night, we did a live stream on number one Marmaduke's channel on Saturday night. We were doing a Sporkman drawing contest.
Cool.
So, and I got some great art to include into the trade. And I'm going to be I want to run a poll. As soon as I get everybody's stuff in, I'm going to run a poll. The winner of the poll, and this is going to be opened up to everybody in Twitter. Everybody's going to get to vote. The winner from that poll will get to actually get a free copy of the trade.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, I could do a Movie Man drawing contest. That's a good idea.
It's a way to pull people in, get them engaged in your project. And I actually met some really good artists on there. Matt C. And then Leroy Convoy or Leo Convoy. So I met some new artists, people that I never talked to, and I'm getting different, seeing different people drawing Sporkman in different styles was great. I loved it. I love seeing that. It's a way to get the community involved.
That's one thing I'm looking forward to, is getting to that level when I start getting fan art.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And if you get a good project, I think, for instance, I think, Scott, with your idea, I think you're going to have a good idea with getting fan art in. It's just getting people to get the eyes on the project, and you can get that fan art. I was surprised that we were getting fan art. We had one first person. Mr. Marvel will always hold the title for the first fan art.
That's a good one to have.
Yeah, it is a good one to have. But I think there's enough people that once you start getting fan art and they get your eyes on your project, you're gonna start pulling it in, and it becomes really good. I think your concept is a fantastic idea, Jeremy, with Movie Man. Your comic can lend a lot of different ideas, for fan art and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
So when you have those ideas coming in, you see people embracing the ideas of the comic, it makes you feel good as a creator. They're like, oh man, I'm actually getting people to respond to the characters.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of what I'm looking forward to, and also just to see that people have that much enthusiasm that they want to show you your own creations in their style, which I think is just really cool.
Yeah. Exactly. I know, like last night we were talking with John Dillard. I mean, I know you guys have seen some of his fan art that he did of us, of Sporkman, and like his art is amazing. I was surprised, like some of the stuff. I'm surprised he doesn't charge for what he does. But I know he started doing commissions and stuff like that. But it's amazing to see what the community is out there of fans. And artists and colorists and stuff like that. I mean, we got an amazing amount of indie creators all across the board.
Oh yeah,
yeah, it's pretty crazy that people can work from across the country. I was just gonna say it's pretty crazy that people can work with all these different people from across the country and even the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing is that you have. This is one of the things that I reacted to, and one of the reasons I started putting Movie Men together, putting a lot of the other projects I'm putting together, is that you have a lot of people who spent a lot of time honing their craft, becoming artists who are within, very close to pro, if not pro, and at the same time, the industry is not doing well. It's kind of imploding, and they don't have any place that they can use their talents, right? And so there's a lot of excess talent out there that just wants to create. And it's good to find those people and work with those people. I love it.
And I think there's a lot of people out there starving to get work. Not just on the artist level, but the colorist, the letterer, they're all looking for work. And why not? If you got a great idea that is, that can be marketable, go for it.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah, and now seems like the best time, better than any time, really.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was looking for when I was looking for my artist. Is I wanted someone that was at that almost pro level that was just looking for a shot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Also in business, they'll tell you that the best time to buy market share is during a recession. And comics are in a recession right now.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, actually. Yeah. Hopefully they'll be on the rise soon enough, though.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it seems that the main market is struggling, but it seems like indie is starting to fill that gap. I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing you're gonna see the return of newsstand. It'll happen slowly, but it's starting to happen. They won't be everywhere, but comics will be in many more places than they've been recently. You're seeing like DC is getting their comics into. They got them into Walmart, now they're getting them into Target, etc. You'll see them come back to supermarkets soon.
Here's some money too with the dollar store.
Yeah, the dollar store. A lot of dollar store or dollar store like things will carry these things. You're gonna see some semblance of a newsstand come back to make up for the gap of comic book stores. You're already seeing it, but it's not distributed like it's going to be in the future.
Well, I think too. Then you're also, and I know that Japan, and you've seen these around, like the vending machine with comics in. That is the new. I think that's the new version of the newsstand. From when we were kids. People aren't going to be able to go to the mall. People are going to be able to go to the 7-Eleven or whatever. There's going to be a comic book shop or a mini comic book. Yeah, it's going to have the latest titles and stuff like that, select titles, but it's still a way to get people back in there.
Yeah.
And that's what it needs. It needs that revitalization, and I think one of the biggest problems, and I know we've discussed this before, that one of the biggest problems with the comics industry itself is they're not pulling from the indie crowd where they used to pull from. All these people, Mags and all these people, they used to be in our level. They used to be doing our stuff. They just, there for probably about the last 10 years, they stopped pulling independent people, and they've been always marketing the same people across the board.
Yeah, no, the comics just haven't. You shouldn't have comics in a recession right now for the simple reason that comic book movies are so popular, and people say, "Oh, well, there isn't a relationship between the movies and the comics in terms of sales," and I say BS, and I say that because you look at like The Walking Dead, that's been a very very good selling comic, and the reason for that is the show.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a relationship between the two that's fairly concrete, you actually can sell a lot more comics. If you have what Marvel has done, where there's just who knows what's in the comics and they don't coordinate it all with the movies or anything, yeah, you have a harder time selling.
You know what would have been smart is if they took all the Infinity War comics and just made a compiled like trade paperback and released that along with the movie.
Oh yeah, they've done a horrible job coordinating product with movies. It's really sad.
And I think the other thing too is, I think what's hurting the thing is they're not doing projects that kids would be pulled to. Infinity Wars, although is a more adult title, if they would have went after some of the other arcs that were a lot more kid friendly, I think they could have pulled more people in. It's a hard battle. I know with my niece being 11 years old, it's been a hard time trying to get her to read comics and stuff like that. Luckily, I got her to start reading manga. Once she started reading manga, now she's been more interested in reading comics and stuff like that.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
And I've gotten her into some of the Alterna stuff, and she really likes it.
Oh, nice.
So, one of her friends, her brother, one of her friend's brother is a little bit older. I got him. He doesn't really read comics, but I showed him Sporkman. I'm like, here, take these and read them. And he gave really good feedback that he really enjoyed them. It's getting the kids in front of the comics, I think, is what needs to happen. You know?
One of the things I love about my comic store is they have a kids section that's robust. Like there's a lot of comics in that section, and it constantly gets new stuff that the kids can go over and pick from.
Yeah, that's cool. They have a good selection, not just one or two things. Sorry, Chuck. What was that? What was another you just said? The point that you just made.
What do you mean?
The thing you just said about the comic store. I was going to say something about it. Sorry, it just slipped my mind.
Oh, you're talking about getting kids into the comic book shops.
Right. Yeah. That's why I love the Alternaween stuff, where you can get the comics to pass out for Halloween. I thought that was such a great idea to get young readers and reading comics.
I passed out at least 100 comics on Alternaween.
Nice, dude. That's awesome.
And that's great. I love it, but I don't think it's sustainable. We need something. I remember as a kid growing up, and I know we're all very close, similar in age. I remember being a kid going to Scholastic stuff, and there was always comics in there. Going to my local library, school library, matter of fact, there was comics in there that I could read. Going to the local 7-Eleven, there was comics there I could read. Going into Wise, Giant, those are the grocery stores. There was comics there I could read. Going into CVS, boom, there was comics. You know what I mean? There was comics everywhere that I could actually, had that. It was in front of my face so I could read and say, hey, I missed this comic. Now I can go in there. Walden Books, the same thing. You had floppies. That's where I did primarily, when I got a little bit older, that's where I did primarily a lot of my shopping was Walden Books because it was right there in the mall. Yeah. So we have really lost something, and I have nothing against comic book shops because I think LCSs are very important. We need that middle ground from we need like something to gateway kids into the LCSs. If if your LCS does not have a kid friendly section, you need something else. And I think that's what I'm hoping, really, like you said, Jeremy, Walmart and Target, I want to see more companies do that. Marvel, I think that's where Marvel's losing it. I think DC is going to really kill back the market share because they realized that they got to get new fresh blood in. Us 30s and 40-year-old people, we're not going to be around forever. They need to get fresh blood in.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, and the other thing is that it's people sometimes see this as either or. Look, I guarantee you, if you have a more robust newsstand, you will have more comic book shops. Yep. We're losing, I think on average, I'm spitballing here for numbers, but we were at like 2,000 shops a few years ago, and we're losing on net about 75 to 100 a year. Right. I guarantee you, if you have a robust newsstand, you'll be gaining that many shops rather than losing them.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. So theoretically, if we're losing 100 roughly 75 to 100. So within now I know we got net gains and stuff like that on something. So theoretically, within 10 to 15 years, there could be no more LPSs if the trend continues.
Well, it's also once you get below a certain number, it's not worth Diamond even existing anymore to distribute this stuff.
Diamond, don't get me started on Diamond.
Yeah, well, I understand. I don't like Diamond. I'm just saying, they're the only game in town in terms of mass distribution of comic books right now.
I hope that changes one day.
Yeah, well, that's going to change in about a year, 2 years, as I guess. What I'm guessing is how long it's going to take Peter Samedi to get his alternative distribution online.
Dude, I'm so excited for that.
Yeah.
That's going to be so big, yeah.
I mean, that's going to be a really big game changer. And I think it's not just that. I think you have, with what you guys are doing, the grassroots movement, what TKO Comics or TKO Presents is doing, there are a lot of different changes in the market. Diamond needs to watch out. I think that's a big part. A big part of what the future of indie comics will be not only what Peter's doing, but also I think we'll start seeing smaller, more independent distributors cropping up across the country, and then you'll see, and instead of one big giant conglomerate who has the entire market control, you'll see a bunch of smaller deals being made across the board with a bunch of different groups.
Yeah. Well, I know there's a ton of retailers who really wish that Capital City rather than Diamond would have won that tussle in the 90s, because Capital City was so much better for retailers to deal with than Diamond has ever been.
Jeez. Yeah, that sucks. It's too bad they've been able to do with the market,
Yeah.
Well, what has helped Diamond keep their stranglehold is when they got listed as a publisher versus being a distributor, and that's what's really helped them keep the stranglehold. Because you think about it, if they would have been listed as a distributor, they would have probably had come up on antitrust something. You know what I mean? Because they basically would have been the only contributor or the only distributor versus being a publisher.
There's a book called Comic Book Stores or something like this. They've had some antitrust scrutiny, but what the antitrust people concluded was that you can have a monopoly as long as they don't engage in anti-competitive practices, and they found that Diamond hasn't engaged in what they call blatant anti-competitive practices that would keep other distributors from cropping up.
Yeah.
I don't know. But speaking on a more positive note, Scott, we talked to Chuck and Jeremy about their campaigns and stuff, and I know you got an upcoming campaign as well. How have you been doing preparing for that?
We're doing good. May 3rd, so we're a little less than 2 weeks. Spoke with Drew, the artist for Wrath. Kind of got our ducks in a row for the next 2 weeks, so we're ready for launch.
Nice, dude.
We're working on putting the Kickstarter page together. I think we've got a lot of good options for our tiers, and we've still got some artwork coming in. Surprisingly, one thing that came up while we were planning is the page count. I was originally estimating like 35, 40 pages, but it's looking like it might be more like 45. So that's kind of put the bar a little higher as far as goal. But one of the things that Drew was pointing out is that it's a lot of emphasis on the art, and I think she's really going to put something special together for us.
Well, yeah, you said it has a higher goal, but then 45 pages, that's a good amount you're getting. So it's definitely.
And this is just the first chapter in 6. Like I spoke of earlier, this is the end goal is a trade paperback. Somewhere around 250 pages and like 1,500 panels.
Wow. Now, would you consider this a manga or American comic, or maybe a mixture of both?
It's definitely manga inspired. I kind of wanted to do something different art wise instead of just cookie cutter like manga art. But the story I think is definitely more manga driven. So I would say it's more of like a blend of Eastern and Western style. And I think that's going to show in the product between the floppies and then the trade paperback. I believe we're going to print it in more of a manga style.
Nice. Yeah, I think that'll look cool.
You guys all have quite a bit of experience with manga. I have less. What are some distinctives of manga that separate it from Western storytelling?
Go ahead, guys.
Yeah, so usually like Western storytellers, you have Spider-Man, right? Spider-Man just kind of goes on forever. Batman goes on forever. There's no like start and finish, so to speak. With more of like a manga, you have, well, One Piece still hasn't finished, but in general, you usually have a jumping off point and then an ultimate conclusion of the story.
Yeah, most manga. I was gonna say most manga generally clocks in about 12 volumes. Anywhere from 6 to 12 volumes. But keep in mind what they only have about 6 to 7 panels per page, whereas American art has a little bit more and stuff like that. Plus, it's also a lot. They spend more time on not on backgrounds and stuff like that as much. They tend to focus more on the characters.
And a few things that I've noticed, because I'm a huge fan of manga. A couple different things. One, thematic. A lot. They're starting to see more comics like this in America, but you see in a lot of comics and especially superhero comics, you'll get a story, much like a TV show where you'll get a singular story in an episode, and that you'll have a beginning, a middle, end, and that story is contained within an episode, and there may be overarching elements and stories. But there are ultimately singular stories. But in manga, they don't tend to do that. They usually tend to stick to very long serialized formats where things are drawn out over long periods of time. And so that's one thing. It's a continual build-up. And then art-wise and story-wise, I think it's very streamlined. And, I think it tries to center on emotions and feelings that are underlying a lot of the actions. I mean, that's just what I've seen, at least.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah. So that's sort of some of the things that I would say are some of the differences that I've noticed.
Okay. Just a sec. This will just take me 1 second. I've got so as you guys know, I wrote a children's book called Princess Sparrow and the Three Gifts that I've sent out to some people to read, but I also sent it out to a bunch of artists to do their own interpretations based on it.
Oh, really?
We could be a comic book eventually. That's a distinct possibility. But also, I just wanted to get some sense of, if we're going to illustrate this, what kind of illustrations to go with, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if I could, just a second here. Can I do screen share and it'll actually work?
Should, I think.
I'll try it. Let's see if it works. Are you seeing me now or not?
I'm still seeing you.
Okay.
Yeah, still see you.
All right. Can you see what I'm seeing here on Facebook?
Not yet.
No, nope.
Okay. All right. I will figure out how to do that.
Uh-huh.
Second here, control room. All right. Screen sharing.
Make sure you do application window, and then that way you can choose Facebook.
Okay.
Hey.
Okay. You see now?
There we go. Yeah.
Yep. There we go.
So this is the girl that does the Dan Fan YouTube channel.
Nice. I like her style. That's good.
Yeah. And yeah, she just did a bunch of
that's perfect for like a kid's book.
And it was very manga inspired,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I could totally see that. Yeah.
And then I got a couple more here from Lenore. Just a second. That's her.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyways, so
Dude, that's cool. So you kind of shopping around for ideas?
Yeah. How do I end screen share? Did I?
Before we lose you into the infinite.
Oh no, Jeremy.
Did I kill screen share?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yep.
Oh,
You're
good. All right, there. I just wanted to show you guys that.
Yeah, I wanted to write a children's story. I was going to be working with an artist and stuff, but we'll probably still do it. But I kind of had a roadblock. I need to work on it, but
You've
I just
got
don't know.
a lot going on.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, space yourself out, man.
For real. Yeah, I need to finish my other novel still. I'm very close. I only have 8 chapters left to edit.
Okay.
I'm so close. I
Yeah,
don't
but,
recommend. Huh?
So going back to the launch thing for me,
Yeah.
um, we were still working on some stuff. Right now, she is working on a page that's going to feature the creature like I have here on mine. So we're going to get a look at what it's going to look like on the page. And what's kind of unique about Wrath is that it is a black and white um, graphic novel, but the creature is going to be featured in color. So we're going to have the black and white background with the colored creature on it.
Oh, that's cool.
And that's kind of what Rags did. Rags did they did like Regina colored, certain elements, and I kind of like that. It kind of gives a more standout element to your comic.
Right, and it goes into the whole. It makes the creature look even abnormal compared to the rest of the world, which is part of what I'm going for. And I can't remember if it was Michael or Matt that came up with that idea when
Matt,
we were
probably.
spitballing this. Because I was torn between doing full color and black and white because I had some ideas for the creature that would only translate into color, and one of them just said, "Well, why don't you just do the creature in color and the rest of it in black and white?"
Yeah, I'm sure that was Matt because he's the artist, so he probably would have been the one to think of that, I think.
Yeah, and I was like, "Can I do that?"
Speaking of Matt, how's he been?
He's good. He's very busy himself. His job keeps him really. He works a very odd schedule, so it keeps him unfortunately a little busy. Busier than he'd like, I think. But no, he's doing good. Hopefully, I think he'll be coming on a little bit later. Hopefully, so we'll be able to chat with him.
Okay.
But yeah, he's actually got me and him are working on Project R Chapter 3 right now, and then he's working on another Wikid comic called Dissolution 2030 with Aaron Calamari.
Okay.
And so they're getting issue 1 finished up right now. I think they're about halfway done or so. So yeah, he's definitely staying busy. But yeah, I would love to have him on. But I don't know.
He's helped me a lot with Wrath, so it's good to see that he's being busy.
Yeah, I'm glad you like that creature content and your artist is able to use that for the final version.
Oh yeah, he was instrumental in getting it to where it is now.
Yeah, it was cool to see how how Druzel was able to kind of use the concept and transform it and stuff. It's good to see that.
Yeah, I like what she did with the pattern. If you look closely, it almost looks like scarring, which kind of goes along with the theme, with that, emotional trauma.
Right. Yeah, which is a big essential part of your comic.
Yeah, big central part of the story. I'm hoping that we can also get the variant cover done before the Kickstarter launch, but if not, then we might just release that to kind of boost it later.
Nice, and I assume you got all the perks and stuff all planned out.
Yeah, more or less. Most of them are standard issues, variant sign covers. We've got a couple of commission spots for Drew where you get a comic and also a custom art piece by her. And then we've also got some cameos in there where you can get your face in a couple of panels of Wrath.
Very nice. That's awesome. And we just for everyone, so everyone knows, we're going to be doing a Wikid Creator interview with Scott on May the 4th.
Cool.
May the force be with you.
Exactly. That's right, man. I can't miss it. Right?
For sure. Hey, Scott, I will throw open for you too. At any point you want to come onto the channel, let me know.
Yeah, I was actually, since Jeremy brought that up earlier, was going to hit you up about that. So I appreciate the invite.
Cool.
Nice. Yeah, that's definitely a good idea to try and get on as many streams as possible.
Yeah, I think that's going to be essential once we launch. I was also throwing it out there. Someone was looking for stuff on Twitter for crowdfunding stuff, so I threw my name in that hat as well.
Cool.
Sorry, what was that?
There was just someone that was advertising on Twitter. He said that he does a live stream, and he wanted to focus on launching Kickstarters.
Was that Will of the Heroic Studios?
Yes.
Yep.
So I
Nice,
threw
dude.
my name in that hat. So, as the opportunities present themselves, I'm gonna take advantage as much as I can on those. Throw my name in there.
You should do
Very
that
cool.
because opportunities ain't going to take advantage of themselves.
Exactly.
And they ain't currently going to take advantage of you. Oh, man. But that's crazy. It'll be interesting to see now that you guys are like a little bit farther in ahead in your campaigns, how you guys can help some of the other people coming up and stuff as well.
Oh, absolutely.
What you've learned.
Yeah, this is what was it you called it? This is the Wikid Wave.
Good one.
Nice, dude. Yeah, I like that.
That was your words, not mine.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Maybe I probably
after we get a few of these funded, you should do an ad that says "Ride the Wicked Wave" or something.
Nice. It should. It'll be Snake Plissken riding the waves.
That's right.
Yeah, but so I think I'm gonna bring up the tail end of that after Mythoverse.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that's actually a good point. Yeah.
I was
so much
actually
going on.
thinking of doing like a little meme where there's just a giant wave and just pointing to it saying Mythoverse, and then like a little dude on a surfboard and just pointing to it saying Wrath.
And you're just gonna be surfing that wave, dude. You'll be like, all right, guys, now get up on the board. Here we go.
Don't fall off.
Right?
Yeah, that's the key. Don't fall off.
Yeah, that's wild. I wonder if there's gonna be any more Wicked crowdfunding for the rest of the year.
I think Jack Irons was talking something summer.
Yes,
Really?
summer. We're hoping by October September, October, we'll be ready to go for On the High Seas.
Nice, dude. So it'll be a little bit of stuff to look forward to towards the end of the year as well.
Yeah. So our goal is to have 2 or 3 a year.
Whoa,
put 2 or 3
nice.
books out a year.
Yeah, that's a good rate. Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I could do that.
Well, the thing is, we're writers, so we have this huge bucket of ideas to do. So what's easy is, we could just have the art being done. So while we're done with the one project, running the campaign that's being finished, we can roll right into the next one.
Yeah, you guys must have an abundance of energy.
It's just, when you've been working on a character for 13 years, you got a lot of ideas. So
and you gotta have passion for it too.
Yeah.
If you're gonna be working on it for that long, I mean, that's what Jack Irons has been doing. Jack Irons has been around for 10 years. The character Jack Irons, excuse me. So yeah, so I totally get that. Yeah.
And I get that too. I've been surprised once I've started, like how many other ideas have popped in my head, and like so many times I'm like, nope, gotta focus on this big one.
I don't have the. Sorry, go ahead, Jeremy.
I didn't realize until a couple of these podcasts how long Movie Man had been knocking around in my head.
Really?
Well, because I mean, in its present form, it came together more recently, but the ideas for it, yeah, it's been several years, many years in formation. Because I really did, when I saw the Regal uniforms change, I thought, how could they look kind of like X-Men, and how would that work? And it started the gears turning. So a lot of the pieces were marinating for years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, isn't that funny how that works?
Yeah.
I will admit that I did write a little bit on another project, just because I've been. Yeah, you have it, so you know what it is. But just
they don't know that.
They do now. But I was just playing around with ideas of possibly getting something going without crowdfunding. So that's what kind of inspired that. But
nice.
it's out there for now, and we'll see where it goes.
I would, I would love to be able to do what Brian does with Rags. Do a Kickstarter for like a Kickstarter / Indiegogo for a title, and meanwhile we could do like Natsumi or Volt or something like that to have different methods of getting stuff done. You know, I think there's kind of different multiple ways of doing the crowdfunding option. You know, Patreon or Kickstarter or whatever. You know.
Yeah, I also think that you're going to get some decent alternatives to Patreon that will arise in the future, which will be good because I think it's good right now that you have both Kickstarter and Indiegogo as different options. And I think it'll be good once you have decent, stable platforms where you can fund things similar to Patreon.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even something built into Twitter or something similar like that would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Does YouTube allow for a premium kind of service or anything like that to like give like a user the ability to make a premium experience?
I heard that they were running it for a while, but I heard they're going back to like basically free content because they're planning on getting out of like the YouTube Red and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Really? Huh.
Yeah, they are. They've decided they're not going to produce their own stuff, for instance.
Wow.
Yeah, because they were doing Cobra Kai and maybe a few others, and they kind of looked at the market and the competition that's coming in. And we're like, no, we're done.
Yeah, we don't want to compete with both Disney and Warner Brothers.
and Netflix. And I'm telling you, Disney right now with their lineup that they have, oh my God, they having only one show like Cobra Kai to back your platform, you're gonna get slaughtered. You have to have like what Disney has or Warner Brothers. I mean, Warner Brothers got like 10, 15 new shows lined up for this year. You know, all superhero related and stuff like that. You know.
Yeah, one of the reasons that Disney spent as much money as they did going after Fox, right, is because they wanted a lot of stuff to stream.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that was a lot of the foundation that Netflix was built on as well. So as soon as I saw that, I kind of was looking at the lineup, and it's like, I'm probably going to end up getting Disney Plus.
Dude, that's exactly what I thought too.
Yep. Same thing. I'd be inclined to dump Netflix because what Netflix just can't keep. Like, I think the stuff they're bringing in is not holding it. I'm probably gonna go to DC Universe and Disney Plus.
I think DC is going to be folded into a larger Warner Brothers thing, though.
I could see that happening. I could definitely see that happening.
I mean, as long as they maintain the stuff they have right now, I'm okay with that. I haven't been able to get DC just because none of the things that, I mean, I could get it on my computer, right? But I tried getting it on, like, you can't get it through our cable. You can't get it through Amazon Prime. You can't get it through Hulu. Like, none of the things that we would have used to get it into our TV were actually available.
Do you have an Apple TV?
We don't have an Apple TV.
Okay, I was gonna say because you can that in Roku. You can actually they're like apps you can download and get and watch it.
We have Kindle Fire Stick, or I think a Fire Stick, whatever it's called, that we haven't used. So you might be able to get it through that. But it was just a huge pain in the ass because I just wanted to look. I wanted to do the preview and watch Doom Patrol and see, go from there. And they do not make it easy. Let's just say that.
So I want to say real quick. I guess I feel bad because Matt has been trying to get in for like the last half an hour. I guess.
Oh, okay.
He needed us to.
Hey, Matt.
He needed me to send him the proper link.
Yeah. Once again, freaking, YouTube.
Yeah, it's weird because if he's on his mobile, I have to send the app from the mobile app. I can't send it from the website. And he can't just join in from the website or the mobile app. So it's really picky. But so he's been messaging me like, "Hey man, what the heck?" I'm like, "Oh, my bad."
No.
Oh hey, this is interesting. In the chat we have Zach Hawkins. He says,
"Hey Zach."
He says thoughts on using Amazon's print to order option. Now that's interesting. I've used I haven't used exactly Amazon's because Amazon's print to order is, as far as I know, is still in beta. But I have used their partnership with CreateSpace and use their printers, and I can comment on that. Which I had Project Star Chapter 1 and 2 was originally printed with CreateSpace, which is an Amazon company, and the quality is good. But the one thing that I could say about using those services is that they don't use one specific location. So what they do is they'll send your print order out, and it'll go out to whatever print facility they have available at the time. So could one shipment might print in California, another one might ship in Ohio, another one might ship in Florida.
Oh, I don't like that.
Yeah, you're not going to get consistent quality among print runs.
Yeah, see, I don't like that. I like having a one person doing our work, and I had to say, Matt, by the way, Matt, I have to say whoever you guys are using for your when you guys did that run for Sporkman, Eric and I really like it. We
really?
we like it. We think it's really good. Coming from Kablam, and we've liked Kablam what they've done. I mean, since you're using a small printer, we like it.
Nice, dude. Yeah. Yeah, I really like working with them too. It's really nice to know that I'm working with someone who's independent, but also so that I can get the hands-on one-on-one time that I need to make sure that I'm getting the quality products that I want. And everything's coming out perfect,
Makes sense.
Yeah, it's great.
Have you explored newsprint stuff with them?
He doesn't do newsprint. He has a newsprint style paper. I think he has like a writer paper almost, I think.
Okay. Well, as long as it's cheaper, that's the thing that would interest me.
Right. Yeah. I'll have to pull it up and see what the pricing on that is. I can't remember what exactly it is, but yeah, it would be nice to get a bit of a cheaper option as well. We haven't, Alterna has their print partnership out as well. Yeah. We haven't explored that yet, but it would be interesting to see.
Yeah, it's not a problem, but you have to line things up in a certain way for Alterna that may not be the easiest for everyone.
Right, there are certain restrictions.
Yeah, but I just thought if you guys did something that's kind of like newsprint that's cheaper, it might be worth exploring.
Yeah, definitely. The one thing with the newsprint, I like you said, there's there's certain things about it, and I know that the ink tends to absorb more into the newsprint. So you have to make sure the certain things about the colors are, I guess, certain ways or.
Yeah.
Can you do 45 pages on newsprint?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they can go. I think they can go up to 66, I believe, or something like that.
Yeah, it's in the 60s.
Yeah.
But that's not because of newsprint. It's just because of the way that the staple.
The binding. Yeah.
Yeah, the binding. Yeah, that's what controls. So when you go to like ours is 91, we have to go to a perfect binding because of the amount of page count that we're doing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's again that'll be interesting. The printer, I've never done a trade paperback with the printer, so it'll be cool to see how that works.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's gonna be exciting. But yeah, I don't think looking at it here, I don't think there is really much of a price cut in the way he prints it because I don't think it's true newsprint.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely. I know. If anyone were interested into trying out a print run of on Alterna, I would always be interested to look it up, and maybe we can work with them and just figure out how to get it all.
Matt, I know we were talking about doing. We were talking about doing the Sporkman in the manga style, which we could do as a newsprint.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that'd be cool.
We could do a print run of Sporkman Goes to Japan, in the for the shop, anime shops and stuff like that, and then that would allow us to test the newsprint on that run because we don't have to separate the colors into layers. The only thing we would have to worry about separating is the lettering. Which since Jay Shiro's going to be doing new letterings, all we have to do is we'll have him with the black and white. I just have to, just make those into new print files for you.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be a bad idea to do like at the beginning of like a convention season.
Yeah.
Because I know like Wikid does a kind of circuit around here just to kind of take it through the season and see how much you sell that way.
Yeah. Well, it looks like. Sorry. It looks like we're coming up on the hour. So
yeah,
we probably get our plugs in here.
Yeah. You read my mind.
Matt just joined the Google Hangouts, but doesn't look like he's been able to fully come in.
Yeah.
Oh,
too bad.
Poor Matt.
People, if you only back one comic book today, back Sporkman. But if you back two, back Movie Man as well.
Back them both. Back them both.
Double the pleasure, man. Double whammy.
That's right.
That's awesome.
It's a good idea. I should get on that.
Right, and it'll be fun to see the race continue down till the end.
Darn right.
Yep.
Oh, we got double Wicked Brothers up in here.
I don't know. Kind of want to have a little hammers going now.
So plug it up, guys. Where can people follow you online?
They can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Jeremy Lott Diary. And go to Indiegogo, look for Movie Men. Easy to find.
Trouble just got here.
Oh.
We got Canales in the house. Anyhow, you guys can follow me on all major platforms: Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, at Sporkman Studios. I did get our Facebook business page set up, so everybody, all that stuff is at Sporkman Studios. And if you are a new up-and-coming person looking to get your eyes on your comic, hit me up and we can get you on my Sporkman YouTube channel, and we can get eyes on your project.
Nice. And don't forget about getspork.com.
Yep, getspork.com. That's a site for all people on all the news and everything. And other than that, I'll throw it over to Scott.
Yep, Wrath graphic novel coming out Kickstarter 2 weeks. You can follow me at Kishkumen on Twitter. That's KYSHKUMEN. And keep an eye out. We've got some more surprises before we launch. So turn it over to the second segment.
And I just want to say, Scott's, you said it was Kickstarter, right?
Yep.
Kickstarter starts on May 3rd, and we'll be doing an interview with him and his artist on May the 4th. So be sure to check that out as well to get all the insight into his upcoming graphic novel.
Yep, and the artist will be there, so you'll get both creative sides of the whole project. So look forward to that.
Yep, that'll be good. Thanks, guys, for joining us for the first segment. We appreciate it, and we'll see you guys next time. And everyone out there, keep watching. We're about to start our next segment.
All right. Thanks, Mike.
You.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Have a great day.
Have a great day,
guys. Take care. Hello, Canales. We meet again.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Well, it's afternoon for me. Not sure about you.
Yeah, what time is it over there?
It's 7 p.m. 7 hours 1 minute p.m.
Just a little bit afternoon.
No, it still counts. My greeting was accurate.
It still counts. So how have you been since the last time we spoke?
Not bad. I've been working my ass off, which is always a good thing for an artist. I'm currently at page 25 of Ironsides 2, and I'm still trying to promote the shit out of Tombstone Blues, which is
we
kind
should
of
talk about that after,
no, absolutely.
We'll talk, But
we need to plug that thing.
Yeah, I'd love to see that thing get to its finish line.
Yeah, me too, man. I had the time of my life drawing. Well, I had a divided time of my life drawing both that and the Abductables, but those two were probably the two projects that I had the most fun drawing lately.
Really? Not Ironsides 2? What?
Ironsides is more of an experiment because that's me trying to restrain myself and be realistic and grounded.
Really? So, I was gonna say, I think the opposite. Like you're gonna go all out, like try to outdo yourself from the first one.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like when you're doing. I'm going to use boxing comparisons here. Ironsides is like doing a really strict drill. Like 1, 2 cross dots, and doing the Abductables and Tombstone Blues is like going freestyle and just enjoying yourself and playing and being goofy and all that. So both things are good for you, and both things are something that you should do, but they're different things. I don't know if I'm explaining myself here.
No, I think that makes sense.
Right? So yeah, no, I recommend everyone doing something like Ironsides every now and then because you will learn a lot with that.
Nice, yeah, that's awesome. what has changed for you? Do you think since you first started working on art, like the first Einsteins to now?
Uh, well, I think I finally found my own style, which is something that obsessed me for a long time because I didn't just want to be good at drawing. Not saying I'm good, but what I really wanted was I want to find my own voice, my own visual style, and I think I probably found that already. And that's something that you only achieve by drawing like crazy and practicing like crazy. So that's one thing at least.
Now, when you don't have to, when you're not drawing comics, what do you find your time with? How do you fill your time?
That's a good question because drawing comics is all I do. I just stop to eat, go to the bathroom, and sleep. But now I like to work out, and recently I've been introduced to the wonderful hobby of airsoft by my gym buddies. Yeah, and I bought myself an airsoft rifle, and I'm doing this thing that some Americans do in their garages. They will buy this old car, and they will spend a free time fixing it and tuning it up and all that. I'm doing that with my airsoft rifle.
I know you
I'm
could use this
buying,
thing.
yeah, no, I'm buying add-ons online, and I'm playing with them, and attaching this and detaching that, and just doing nothing, listening to podcasts and stuff such as this one.
Nice. Yeah, I was able to join you on the last time you were streaming with Derek.
Yeah,
That was fun, man.
yeah. I think that was more successful than I expected. Everyone was there.
Oh my God, it was an insane stream, wasn't it?
Yeah,
That was
yeah. It
wild.
was. We need to
Oh,
do them
did,
more often.
oh, hello there.
What's up?
You look
Hey,
comfortable.
Stupid camera. Yeah, people saw my mean mug for 2 seconds. Oh no, the
Hey,
horror.
I've done that before, so I feel it.
I wasn't exaggerating when I said I would be mildly zombie.
We can't blame you. And it looks like we're joined by Matt as well.
Mm-hmm.
How's it going, Matt?
Hey guys.
Thanks for
what's
joining
up,
us.
Matt?
Sorry I couldn't get you in earlier, man. I got
Well.
distracted with the podcast.
No, it's all good. And I was just on and got kicked because apparently it showed that I was on the Wicked one, but I even just double checked everything. It shows that I was on mine.
Oh, really?
So,
That's because your icon came up as we were double.
no, I'm on my account.
That's
The
weird.
DK is 232.
I bet it was glitching out because YouTube, Google Hangouts has been acting really weird lately.
It's probably because I'm trying to crack down on everything.
That's the
dude.
man trying to keep us down,
Crack
man.
down on
It really
everything.
is, dude, because they realize, oh man, you can't just keep uploading infinite videos forever and we'll have room for it. That's impossible. So we're gonna start screwing you over. It sucks. Bottom line. But
How's everybody else been?
yeah, I was gonna say, how are you doing, Wes?
Like I said, I'm mildly zombie. I just got hired to a new job, so I'll be working 6 days next week. So let's just say I'm trying to sleep as much as I can before next week. But I get at least a month's worth of pay at the end of it, so I'm not complaining.
Yeah, that's nice.
Well, yeah, because I had to give notice to my one job and then start the new jobs, and then the new job already pays better. So it's like all in all, my real life is about to start an upswing, provided I don't screw it up.
Right. Just don't try and fight your boss like Charger, you know.
Oh yeah. Oh geez. Yeah, but when you find out that your boss is kind of a homicidal maniac, you do have the right to refuse work.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Yep. You gotta do what you gotta do. I mean, let's be honest. Charger's boss is a homicidal billionaire cyborg, a man who literally stuck essentially an Iron Man suit in his body. It's like, and when you find out that the guy's killing people, it's like, yeah, maybe not the best. I have the right to refuse my job. So and if he starts threatening you with violence, well, you fight your ass back. Self-defense laws.
I think that's stand your ground or something, right?
Something like that. Oh, Canadian laws are a little different than American laws. So, but, even the people defending themselves would still get arrested. But
Yeah, no, I love America just because they have self-defense laws. We don't have such a thing here in Europe. It's
really?
ridiculous. Oh no, yeah, it's ridiculous. You will
Canada,
find.
Laws only work in
Yeah, no,
court.
I'm seriously considering.
We both get arrested. I'll be
Oh,
well,
wait,
for
what
example,
though?
you could be a registered gun owner and actually have the license to carry and all that stuff for like to defend yourself and all that stuff. But if someone invades your home and you shoot them dead because they invaded your home and threatened the safety of your life and your family, right? It doesn't matter. You're going to jail too for second-degree murder.
Not in Texas though.
Oh, not in Texas.
Yeah, it definitely depends on where you are. In California, oh fuck yeah, that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but not in
California is
Texas.
just like Europe, right?
Well, my personal opinion, if you invade someone's house and they have their own life and their family, your life is effectively forfeit.
That's how it's supposed to be, but certain laws have changed here in America.
Yes, because
What about Europe though, man? You were saying Europe about Europe?
Who me? Oh yeah, no, I was saying that you will read a shitload of stories here about people who go to jail for shooting robbers and home invaders and all that. It happens all the time
Really?
here. You don't have the right to defend your home. I remember the case of this old guy who had he didn't even had a proper handgun. He just had this 22 caliber sports pistol because the guy was was an amateur shooter. And I think they were like Eastern European guys broke into his home and broke his wife's hand with the door, so as to torture her and have him told them where the cash was stashed. So at some point, the old guy managed to uncuff himself. He got the gun, shoot one of the guys, ran the other guys off, and still he went to jail. And we're talking about, I think he was like 80 years old, something.
Oh,
some old guy.
Jesus, dude.
That's the absolute state of Spain right now.
Yeah, dude, that's really messed up. Holy crap.
Well, here's another example. Out in Manitoba, this is out here in Canada. There's a bunch of this actually made major press, and our esteemed cuck in chief Justin Trudeau decided to come hard against this guy because, oh my God, a bunch of natives from the reservation. They were like teenagers. They couldn't have been like 16, 17. Well, anyways, they go to this guy's farm and try to rob him of his equipment and try and then of course torch the barn, right? Because they're assholes, right? Well, this guy, this landowner, this farm owner, ain't gonna have any of their shit. So he pulls out a shotgun, blows one of them straight to hell, and the others run like hell, and they all get arrested. But because he just literally blew one of them straight to hell, defending his property, it became a huge national trial. And of course, they let him off because Manitoba luckily has some provincial provision or whatever that he managed to get off, right? It's like, and then of course, Justin Trudeau, well, we're not having that, so we're going to change your laws in Manitoba. It's like, excuse me, what the fuck? These guys literally tried to try to burn his part of his property to the ground, steal his equipment.
But did they say they were sorry? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, that was too far. I'm sorry.
I don't care if you're Wahoo, if you're fucking ghost white like I am. I don't give a shit. If you're gonna be that much of an asshole and you're gonna attack someone's personal property and threaten their friggin' right and their life in pursuit of happiness, you're dead.
As it should be, if you ask me.
Yeah, your life is effectively forfeit. I don't care if you live on a reservation and your living conditions are complete garbage. I feel for you on that regard. I've been to native reservations. I know how terrible some of these places are. But that don't give you an excuse to be a friggin' prick.
Yeah, no, I feel it, man. I feel it. But yeah, that's why we got to be not pricks, guys. Just don't be a prick. You heard it, everyone.
To quote Garth Ennis on Twitter, you have to be one of the non-prick guys because there's already too many of the pricks.
Dude, I love Garth Ennis.
Yeah.
He gets it, man.
Yeah, Garth Ennis is one of those guys who were so successful back in the 1990s that can afford to do whatever the hell they want now with their scripts.
Exactly, dude. I love about him too is something that's because of that you mentioned that fact. Something that has emerged is that he's a big history fan, and he does these really cool historical pieces.
Yeah, I think it was Zach who said that Punisher Platoon was extremely well written and it was extremely well researched. as if he had actually gone and interviewed actual Vietnam veterans for it.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Yeah, he has his definite passion for it. I have one about the Tuskegee Airmen. That's really cool.
Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm definitely a big Garth Ennis fan, and of course I'm a huge Hellblazer fan. I absolutely love Hellblazer.
Yeah, I remember Hellblazer was a major influence
Jack.
for me when I began writing comics. When I began actually trying to write serious comics and not just do Lobo all the time. You know what I mean? And I remember Hellblazer was like the go-to comics, and in order to learn how to write a proper script.
Right, I can see that. And hey, Cody, how's it going, man?
Hey, folks.
Hey,
Going all right.
Yeah, having a good weekend so far. Enjoying your 420.
Oh,
I'm just kidding.
I'll get there eventually.
You start with your coffee first, right?
Second or third, but yes.
Oh boy, one of those mornings. One of those mornings.
Yes, indeed.
Well, thanks for joining us. I appreciate it.
No, absolutely. I'm sorry I'm late, folks. But,
no,
I'm glad I made it.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I can't be out for terribly much longer because I gotta start getting ready. Apparently, I've been invited to a party in Toronto.
Toronto.
I live in Toronto, but it's like I live in the suburb of Toronto, but it's like the shadow of it. But I have to go into the city proper, and it's a Marvel themed Avengers Endgame celebrations, and it's at an arcade bar, which is actually kind of cool. Like it's a bar, right? But their theme is that they have a lot of arcade games and shit like that. A lot of retro gaming, and there's like it's actually a pretty nice place. I've been there once, I think. It was years ago, though.
That's fun. I'm very excited for Endgame. Are you guys all looking forward to that, or?
If we ignore Brie Larson, yes.
I'm curious of it, and that's one of the things I'm curious about because I didn't see Captain Marvel.
I saw it. I probably the only one here saw it. I can say.
I call it Captain Bland for a reason. Thank God I didn't spend a dime. Thank God I did not spend a dime on it.
Awesome, dude. That cat was awesome.
What?
I don't care what you say. That cat was
Goose.
Dope. Goose
brought
dude.
the juice.
Goose brought the juice.
Although let's get real. Let's get real. Goose is the reason Nick Fury is missing an eye. Fuck out of here.
I will neither confirm nor deny.
It was some kind of evil Lovecraftian beast from outer space. Right? So I don't know if that counts as a cat.
Maybe not. But no, that's cool, man. I'm glad you're able to join us. For how much longer are you able to stay on?
About 15 minutes tops. That shouldn't be too bad.
Cool. Thank you. I appreciate you able to make the time for it, man.
Oh, of course, man. This shit happens.
Yeah, enjoy your party later too.
Well, yeah, because I gotta get to enjoy at least some of this Easter weekend before I put myself through 6 days in hell.
6 days of your new job hell.
Yeah, pretty much. But you know what? I get paid like almost like $2.5-3 more than my current job, and the schedule's actually better, so I'll have regular weekends again.
Nice. Yeah. I'm actually gonna be starting up a new position myself, so I definitely feel your pain.
Oh yeah, I mean it'll take a bit of adjusting, but you know what? If it pays better, a slightly better schedule, is closer to my house. Everything about it just screams upgrade.
Nice. No, Cody, I wanted to, since you just joined us, I wanted to ask you if I don't know if you're what you can tell us at the moment, because I know you guys are thick into the middle of production right now. How are things going along with your project right now?
It's good. Progress.
You want to talk about your
slower than I'd like. It's always been slower than I'd like.
How's your colorist going along? Because I knew you have a new colorist.
Oh, it's gorgeous. He does a beautiful work. It was worth losing a couple weeks looking for the right new fit after Matthias kind of had to move.
That's tough, yeah.
But I'm exceedingly hopeful. The book's coming out great. Lettering started. Hopefully by the end of this weekend we'll have 20 pages colored and maybe near 10 finished lettered. So we're getting there. We're getting there. With 32 being the cap, and of course having the cover needs to be colored, but and all the fun logo stuff, and there's the back end stuff too that'll come after the books. The actual story bits are done, but I mean it's good. We're on that final stretch where it bugs me the most when nothing's happening. But in honesty, stuff's happening. I'm not part of it.
Geez, well that's the waiting part. The waiting game is always the hardest. I find.
Yeah, it is what it is. Especially with how long I've been taking.
Well, yeah, I mean it's different when you have backwards, right?
Yeah,
so I think,
that's the main thing, and especially when you've been underestimating the time it would take again and again and again. So that's
tough,
starting to get to me. But first real go around. I know where the pitfalls and hurdles are to avoid, at least some of them. At least gonna make new mistakes next time, not these ones again.
Speaking of next time, we were talking with Sporkman in the first segment, and the idea of a second or future round of indie crowdfunding campaigns came up, and the question was put out about yours, and someone mentioned possibly a summer release.
That's what I've been saying. Yeah, for the campaign. Yeah, the sooner. So I've got a great roadmap for all these different titles and such, but mainly right now, after my focus is issue 2, but there's another focus that's with Ironverse at the moment. With Cactus Coyote, there's something kind of really neat. Besides finally finishing the manga that he and I have been working on for about the last year. We'll also we've got something else with the character that's a little bit more pro that I think people are going to really be stoked at. I am, and that's going to come next couple weeks. That's going to be run, so I'm going to be helping with that, but it's not my bag. So we'll see how that goes. But after that, for Jack, it's going to be this summer. Jack and maybe more, depending on the interest and the steam. It's been rough out there for a few smaller projects.
Oh, I know that feeling. I mean,
yeah.
Troy's been torn up, has been split between One Pool and of course Charger, and of course he's got his promo art and his tattoo job and God knows everything else. So it's like he is all over the friggin' place. And that's so production has been rather slow. Although the Wikid guys, you guys have seen the preview that I sent out to you guys earlier, just to kind of avoid spoilers for the rest of the guys. Where we're at so far.
Yeah, no, it seems like you guys are making really good progress. That's a bit slower pace,
Oh yeah, it's like we're about almost a dozen pages in or so. It's looking fantastic, and every time I see it, it's like I was thinking to myself, I've been writing for this for 13 years, but to see it actually visualized, you're like, fuck.
Yeah, no, I love the pages he's coming out with. And that one page you have shown up where he's
you are like roboting out super bad right now,
oh,
man.
my bad. I do that sometimes. I was gonna say you showed off one of the pages to the public where it showed him. I think it was maybe him and his dad, and he gets the wink from the racer.
Oh yeah.
And so that's a really nice emotional scene, I thought, and Troy did a really good job conveying that with just a few.
I thought the follow up was even darker, but you guys, that's again spoiler territory. But the follow up to that was like, oh shit,
Yeah, it was an interesting moment to kind of set against that, and it'll be interesting to see what people think about it.
The thing is, what I felt was I know what is said on those pages, but it's like, but even without the dialogue, without the context, it's like even without all that, you're like, fuck, this is just a story told in pure visuals,
Yeah, no, he's good, definitely good about doing that. Yeah, about using those visuals.
Yeah, and it's funny because that's actually, believe it or not, that's 1-to-1. That's pretty much a 1-to-1 accurate recreation of what I envisioned when I wrote the script. So it's like, but I've never actually seen someone actually take what I thought up, put it on this page, and then when I saw it visually, I was like, fuck.
Yeah, I love doing that. I love that moment when you write something down and then it comes to life, in front of before your very eyes. I'm sure we can all relate to that, from a creator's perspective.
I'm not just as a writer.
Nah.
I didn't see. I know that feeling, but not just as a comic book writer, but also as a I also did it as a I was before I got into writing comics. I was a musician once, and so I've recorded.
Sorry, is my dog fucking yipping and yapping?
I can't hear the dogs. That's okay.
Oh, okay.
But I've been there, and it's like, when you actually go through all the process of making it, then when you're done doing it and you're performing it, you're like, oh, So it is
cool.
It's quite the feeling, to have something that you made and you can put it out there for people to, enjoy.
Speaking of music, I think I can go ahead and announce here that we have a theme song coming out for the podcast, created by none other than Laguna Minuta. Am I saying that right, Cody?
No, sir.
Sorry, say that one more time.
Laguna Munta. So
Sorry,
it was just the second part.
Right. Laguna Munta. We're getting a song commissioned by him for.
I think he's the guy who did the Jack Irons theme, correct?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I actually spoke to him, and he's gonna have a theme for Charter once we start getting towards the release date.
Very nice. Very nice. Yeah, he does good work. Yeah, he's doing all sorts of. What was that, Matt? Oh, I guess that's
what it was.
What's that, Matt? That's what it was.
You know what? On a side note, I've always wanted to have my own villain theme.
Really, a villain theme, like you walk into the room.
Yeah, there you go. I think the baddest villain theme that we've had in the last few years it's been Magneto's theme for X-Men First Class. So I want something like that for me. Every time I walk into a building, I want my villain theme to play in the background.
Well, you know what you gotta do is get one of those shirts that have built-in. You can program it with songs, and then you press a button, and all of a sudden your shirt plays music.
I mean, that actually exists.
Yeah. That's just
Talk to Americans. Of course, it exists.
That's a good question.
I thought this was America.
America. Everything exists. Yeah, everything exists here, man. If you can think it, you can probably buy it.
Even free internet, which is not going to be happening in Europe anytime soon.
Oh,
nothing is going to be happening in Europe except it will become a Mad Maxian nightmare.
I can't wait.
Orwell, it's like Orwell is rolling in his grave.
And he'll be rolling, and then shortly coming out of the ground as a zombie to get on.
I think Orwell's the whole Orwell thing has been like a Twilight Zone episode in which a guy tries to warn people of the future, and in doing so, he causes that future to exist.
Yeah, kind of. I'm just gonna take 1984 and move it into the nonfiction section now.
That's interesting. That's a fun idea. Like, somewhere in the future, well, look at this one. We got to move this one over here into the other section now.
Yeah, I noticed that William Gibson, the guy who wrote Neuromancer, isn't doing science fiction anymore. He's doing contemporary thrillers. So what does tell you about reality?
That we're fucked.
Exactly. Cyberpunk is now.
Cyberpunk is now.
Cyberpunk dystopia, yeah.
Or what is that book called? Neuromancer, you said, right?
Cyberman Neuromancer, yeah.
I've heard that's a good book.
Which is actually it's funny because my ex really hated the Matrix trilogy because it was essentially a ripoff of that.
Oh shit!
Yeah, there's even a Matrix in Neuromancer with it's just like I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was like this virtual reality construct that you had to go through before.
It was the Cyberman. I think it was called the Cyberman or something like that. I forgot what it was called. Don't quote me on that. I can't remember at the time. But she bitched about it for so long that she hated it because it was literally an uncredited ripoff of one-to-one of Neuromancer. It was like, dude, what?
And she'd be wrong because it's actually a ripoff of Dark City meets Blade meets Virtuosity. Have you guys seen Virtuosity?
No, I don't think I have.
It's a mid-90s movie with Denzel Washington and Russell Crowe, and the opening scene, it's actually a virtual reality construct designed to train police officers, and it's exactly the same as the training construct in the Matrix. Everyone, it's like everyone's like cloned, as if the programmers didn't have enough memory to create different people. And
The mid to late 90s and even the early aughts in a weird way, the early 2000s, it gave like they all had this
the
weird.
90s. The 90s were awesome. I won't have it any other way.
I was born in the 90s. I know what you're talking about, but it's like they all seem to have this weird, especially towards the end of it. Like it started off as bright and colorful as the 80s, but by the end, it was like this dark, and everyone was wearing trench coats, and it's like the fuck.
Everyone was ready to do their own Columbine.
Yeah, it was like I call it trench coat kung fu.
Hey man, those trench coats look pretty damn cool though, man. You were hot as hell, but you look cool.
It was funny because it actually served as the inspiration for what my first superhero I ever created was not actually Charger. It was actually a character called Arachnid, and he's essentially Blade meets Boba Fett, but he's like a bounty hunter. So it's like he had like the long trench coat, he had the friggin' thing, and he was like, instead of like hunting vampires, he would get his man and kind of bring him in. It was kind of this, and he had like all these gadgets, and so there's a little bit of Batman in there for good measure, but he had a much more of a Boba Fett kind of vibe. So it was like, and that was my first ever creation, and then of course that kind of I went the opposite route with Charger and made something brighter, more youthful, more it still had the teenage angst and all that stuff because I was writing it as a teenager. It was a lot more of a traditional superhero versus like that, grimdark 90s anti-hero thing.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, I was all over the 90s anti-hero fan. My first character was actually Lobo, except he came from hell. So it was like Lobo meets Spawn, something like that.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely, we are a product of our time, and the 90s was called the dark age of comics for a reason,
It's funny because I didn't grow up.
Anime started picking up a huge amount of steam during then.
That's actually a good point because that's what I was going to say. I didn't, and when I was growing up in the 90s, I didn't really read any comics. I pretty much exclusively read manga only.
Actually, it's funny because I actually wrote for one of my college courses because I did a creative writing series in college. There actually are some old short stories that kind of coalesce together into a pseudo novel. And I was thinking maybe if I took those out of mothballs, I could actually probably give them to sell them to you guys in Wicked and kind of work on them because they actually take place in the same universe as Charger, but they're based on that character Arachnid, where it's like you kind of get this strange corporate conspiracy. You know what I mean?
That'd be kind of cool, yeah. Like set in the same universe.
But it's going to be in like a prose.
Yeah, we need to decide if we need to decide if every character
it's set in the same universe as Charger, but it's a very different side of that world,
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So every story inside the Wicked Publishing House is set in the same universe. I just want to know, just in case I do a second season of Decimators, and I have to feature cameos, but by everyone.
We have something called the Wicked Timeline that me and Matt came up with, just in case we ever wanted to do that or do a game or something like that, which is basically an alternate of our history where all the different characters coalesce into one setting. But yeah. The Decimators meeting Charger meeting Jack Irons, that'd be a wild freaking.
We also kind of loosely are connected to One Pool and what's going on with them. It's like loosely,
and then Regina, how does that fit in?
We're all a bunch of indie publishers, but we all kind of created this micro universe. Imagine if someone actually with a shit ton of money bought every publisher out and made it one company. It's like, oh great, we're the next DC. Go figure.
It's like, wait, how did we get here? How did we get working for corporate?
Kind of what DC did. They bought out all of their competition back in the day.
That's what they did. That's how they became. That's how they got all those characters, like the Charlton characters, like Captain Marvel, like all those. Yeah,
that's smart. I didn't know that. Yeah.
I don't call him Shazam. I call him Captain Marvel. I don't care. I
don't call her Captain Marvel. I call her Captain Marvel.
Marvel. No, that's Troy. Troy's gonna kill me for that, I swear.
Oh, he's gonna get you, dude. No.
Captain Marvel. He's gonna fucking kill me for that.
Oh my god.
I might as well start writing I guess here is the last will and testament of one Wes Collins.
Oh, Sporkman Studios in the chat says Revengers for life.
Revengers for life. It's kind of true though. Actually, I sent a picture the other night. He actually, apparently Troy actually was pulled out of mothballs. He pulled out this old picture, and he actually did some sketches of like real like superhero versions of the Coon and Friends. I think it was like Midbury Crunch to be precise. And I'm thinking to myself, Revengers versus this Coon and Friends. I admit that would actually be kind of fun to see,
Revengers would totally kick their ass.
Oh, easily.
Oh,
The thing is, I think Charger would take on Midbury Crunch. Wanpool takes on the Coon. Who'd fight
I'm just
Mysterion?
I'm just wondering how many different ways you can say revenge in English. Vengeance, revenge, comeuppance. Can you call a group like the
Payback.
comeuppanters?
Payback.
The paybackers. The paybackers actually sound kind of cool.
Just desserts.
The Backlash. The Backlash. That's another one.
Backlashers.
The Backlashers. That's actually so edgy. Oh my god, it is like pure fucking 90s. Oh my god. I just got seriously. I'm now starting
registering that, and I'm gonna go to the patent office and having that registered right now.
Oh god.
Backlasher.
Backlash. Yeah, it's like I'm thinking to myself when I was picturing like Revengers versus friggin' versus the Coon and Friends. I'm thinking, okay, Wanpool's got to fight the Coon. Charger's taking on Midbury Crunch. Who takes on Mysterion? Who takes on the Human Kite and all the other characters? That's the real question.
Jack and Mysterion have a long talk about immortality. There's not much it wouldn't be much animosity there against kids.
Those two would be sitting at a bar watching the bar fight take place.
Yeah, both of them would probably think any conflict is stupid.
Yeah, where it's like you have the Coon versus Wanpool. That makes way too much. Or would it be Wanpool or Badger Babe? Or Badger Babe or Badger Bitch.
But think about it, Jack Irons versus Cartman. I mean, that's a battle for the ages.
Yeah, but honestly, like, you got the fat guy Cartman. It's like you have to either put Wanpool or one of his characters, because I mean, there's Wanpool's the obvious one, but people forget he has other characters like Badger Babe / Badger Bitch.
That's true. Badgers and raccoons. That's a good rivalry.
Exactly. So it's like if you're going theme versus theme, like Midbury Crunch is the super powered one, like the really OP super powered one. So I'm thinking to myself, well, that makes sense to have Charger because he's essentially a Superman character. So those two going at it makes sense.
Midbury Crunch?
Yeah.
Who's that?
That's Butters.
Oh, I see. I didn't play the game.
No, it's not Butters. It's Professor Chaos. Midbury Crunch is one of the odd kids.
Midbury Crunch
Fractured Butthole is a great one.
That was
is that Tweak?
For that little trilogy.
Oh, it's not Tweak?
No,
it's not Tweak. Tweak was Wonder Tweak. There's Super Craig, Wonder Tweak. There's a bunch of those. I forgot the kid's name. It's like something.
I need to go back to South Park.
Dude, please do it. It's so funny. I haven't played the games, but the show is so good.
It's her little brother.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's the goth chick's little brother. Yeah.
That's
nice,
right,
dude.
Yeah, but the thing is, he's the OP superpowered kid, and so it would make sense that Charger, who's the OP superpowered kid, would go after for the way they fight each other,
Yeah.
It's like, all right, well, that takes care of that. That's kind of a gimme. Who takes on friggin' Stan? Kenny. Well, Kenny's Mysterion. Kenny's Mysterion, so that kind of makes sense. Who takes on? All right, well, who takes on?
Stan is Toolshed.
Toolshed, yeah, Stan is Toolshed.
But yeah, honestly, I'd rather talk about our projects.
True.
Well, I mean, I don't have much in ways of updates on my project. Who's got something they'd like to talk about on that?
Well, Wes kind of jumped in when I was talking about 10, 15 minutes ago, and I've been polite, kind of waiting.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no worries. I'm just not one to interrupt. I was talking about Cactus Coyote. Hopefully in the next couple weeks.
That you guys were coming out with, right?
Yeah, hopefully the manga will come out here in the next couple of weeks for free on Tapas, and then after that we'll be running a campaign for it. So I'm really hoping that'll get some steam, at least enough to get us to fund what we're doing with it.
Can you reveal a little bit about that yet? Or are you kind of keeping under wraps at the moment?
Well, we're collaborating with an Italian artist connected to a relatively popular streamer in our circles. So as soon as we've got something to show off for it, besides just the character concepts and stuff, I can talk a bit more about that. But yeah, I'm just excited to actually have another real official Jack title out there, another Ironverse title in the works and on the ground that isn't all on me, which is good. I'm stoked to see. It's a lot of fun too. Besides Jack, once people get issue 2, they're not gonna be having quote unquote fun with it. There's one moment that's kind of fun, but most of it's a downer. It's a downer. So people are gonna need some cactus.
Yeah. Now, is this part of because you said you're gonna have a new title? Does that mean that it's something separate from Cactus Coyote then?
No, it is Cactus Coyote. We just weren't happy with moving forward. Well, he wasn't happy with moving forward with his art. So
I love that. So his art.
Well, we were doing the one manga, and it's 42 pages. It's a chunky little manga. So it's not that it's not being done.
Right, I was gonna say, does this new work, is it a follow up to the original artist? Like, is a continuation of the same story?
No, it's a straight up kind of like what One did with One Punch Man. It's just
really?
It's a redo of the art.
Oh wow!
So the story is going to be similar, but he wants to change the pacing because the artist he's more Looney Tunes than manga, which is what he wanted, which is great. So the tone kind of needed to shift a little bit between the manga and what's coming. So
okay.
Yeah, so I'm super excited for that. I just wanted to make sure people know that's coming up.
Nice,
just because everybody needs as much help as they can get, and Jack and Ironverse Comics has been a labor of love from a lot of artists, and I'm talking about love, not so much profit or for work. So I'm trying to get to a point where that love is rewarded.
Nice.
So you know, but yeah. Anyway, that's my spiel. That's where I needed to get out. Sorry.
So no worries. And so when can people kind of look forward to that Cactus Coyote launching?
Oh, I'm hoping within the month. I think I had 2 to 3 weeks to finish lettering the manga for Coyote. So the sooner I can get that done, the better. He's been cleaning pages and making them look nice and professional, and that's been taking forever for him. So we're just kind of going at the pace we got. Again, just like pretty much everything else with Ironverse, it's the pace we can handle. So we're on.
Nice, dude. So that's cool. The fans have a lot to look forward to with this. Well, Cactus Coyote coming out, and then Jack Iron's issue 2 coming out later this year. And
issue 2 should be before Cactus.
Really?
So hopefully we'll have that done and
I'm sure fans will
ready.
like that.
At least the issue should be done. I don't know once we get to shipping and printing, that's kind of what it's going to be. But
well, digital's always going to come out long before the hard copy, so that always comes in handy.
That's not what I did with the last one. I waited till we at least had somebody receive the physical, because the physicals. Because it would take 1 or 2 weeks for everything. So the digital, I wanted to make sure wasn't so early that the people who wanted to just read it as the physical book weren't spoiled or weren't, I tried to match the timing. People would get their physicals a day, two days before or after I sent out the digital.
That's actually why I made an effort with Charger to basically make the digital copies going to be black and white. So they're, that way that when the hard copy comes in, for those who order the hard copy, they won't feel satisfied, but at the same time, they'll still get they'll still get to see the story, but they'll get to see a different side of it with all the coloring and the hard copy and all the other rewards that come with it. So that's kind of, and to mention, it's like, it's a lot also gets it out much quicker for people to enjoy it,
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, I already had the Jack's black and white for free out for everybody at that point. Yeah. So it wasn't anything that people wouldn't really be spoiled if they wanted to. But again, the colors was a big reason the backers, backed at least for issue 1. So I wanted to make sure that wasn't spoiled. I wanted people to be blown away when they open that physical book, like I was.
Speaking of which, Wicked, we need to set up probably a price going forward for the digital copies. Like after we get it out to the backers, set a proper price for Comic Central, or where we're going to put it on Comic Central, Comixology, wherever.
Well, so far, we can definitely do that. So far, we've been using Comic Central, Comixology, and Amazon Kindle. But
you did drive through.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And I felt like there's another one I missed from you guys, but I know drive-through was one I almost forgot about. I had to make sure I bookmarked. I don't want to forget about any places you guys put that up.
Definitely,
but yeah, no. We went for $3 for a Jack Digital. So I mean,
that's black and white, but for black and white.
No, for color, full color, yeah.
Yeah, no, that was the full edition. I'm not selling the black and white until I have to get it relettered.
Isn't the black and white done at this point, pretty much?
The black and white for what, issue 1 or issue 2?
Yeah,
issue 1.
Any issue really. Or are you doing the same model with the issue 2 then?
Well, what's going on is no. That was the original idea back in the day. I did want to put up some pages on Tapas, but I feel that would gyp the backers a little bit for Jack 2. So down the line, it's a possibility. We're also considering doing an artist edition trade paperback if we can get all 5 issues done. So it's just black and white, maybe on newsprint. But there's a lot of angles. But the main issue is I do need to get issue 1 relettered because the letters that are currently on the free version were a gift from someone who's not part of Ironverse Comics anymore. So I don't want to be selling that to people. I don't mind. He and I didn't mind sharing that with people, but it's different. So I want to,
I totally get that. Yeah.
Doing right.
Actually, that's right. Around that time, I actually have to start getting ready. But it was a pleasure having you guys on.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. Thanks again, man. I appreciate it, and I'm so looking forward to Charger coming out. I know you talked a little bit about the production and stuff.
Like I said, if I want to talk, maybe one podcast I can talk about the proper mythology, because actually that's one thing I've been very chomping at the bit to get into. But maybe once one comes out, we'll start talking mythology and stuff like that, because that stuff's my bread and butter, and I like talking about that. But it would be at the expense of a lot of people, so that's why I kind of just do random stuff and just shoot the shit.
We should also
has Wes done his Wicked interview?
Yeah, I was gonna say we should. I don't believe so. We should definitely set that up.
I've done it during the campaign. We did the
campaign countdown. Yeah. So that's different.
Okay.
Yeah. So we can still do an interview with you, Wes, and that'd be a great idea to get, so you can get some of those ideas out that you want.
Yeah, that's where
I think it's kind of cool if we did maybe for going forward, we did some mythology episodes where people just talk about them, without spoiling anything. They get the gist of everyone's mythology of what book to expect in their theme, so that way they can have, this is what's going to be in this book, and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, no, that could be cool. Yeah, definitely. All right, man. Well, enjoy the rest of your day. I appreciate you coming on. Thanks again.
Of course. Have a good one, guys.
And we'll plug your Twitter while you're away as well.
Dude. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Yeah, man. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
See ya.
So yeah, I mean that's an interesting point. But what were we discussing?
Before Wes had to take off, it was about Coyote, and then we were talking about digital book prices. We went with the 3 for black and white. Maybe consider half $2. I don't know. It'd be something to talk with Wes. It would be a creator to creator basis. It would be my thoughts, but it's also you guys. So no idea. I'm happy with the $3 price point myself. I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it kind of depends on the book, to be honest.
Yeah, I feel that same way too.
On that, for the heck of it, how have the digital sales been for Jack?
They've been a little slower.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
We need to plug them more, I guess, probably.
Well, I do every day, but
I need to plug them more.
It's trying to engage people, because you can put an ad in their face. That doesn't do anything.
Right. Yeah.
So,
and not only that, but I think a lot of people want that physical.
Yeah, that's the big thing too. I know that's the hard line. I mean, comics. The comics audience.
I may be a fetishist, but
forever.
Yeah, I may be a fetishist about it, but I've always preferred physical copies. I like to hold them in my hand and smell the paper. Digital is okay, but it can't replace the actual physical thing.
Oh no, yeah. I mean, there's also the digital fetishists who want 500-600 comics on their Kindle.
Yeah.
Right.
But the main goal is to just be able to provide a product to somebody who wants it
in the format that they want to get it in. Exactly.
Yeah. And moving forward again, slower but surely. Shortly after.
Hey, don't call me Shirley.
I'll call you whatever I want. Surely I can do that. After Jack 2, hopefully we can start talking about public print run and how we want to go about that, because there's a lot of ways to go about it.
Nice.
And I want it to be more a better setup for both Wicked and I than what the campaign setup was. Something more feasible. So
yeah, and I'm excited to. I want to once we get all the backers fulfilled, and we can start looking into shopping Jack around at comic book shops. I mean,
I can't wait to see that on shelves.
Yes,
I'm super excited for that.
Exactly. That's
hopefully
give
some competition to some of those Marvel titles that have been
Hell
sitting
yeah.
there for months.
For real, man. Marvel, who knows what's going on over there?
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like most of the industry places have a lot of warring factions inside. They keep quiet, and then the loud ones are on the outside, kind of making ruckus and attracting people to look at what the hell's going on. Hopefully, some point. I know Vertigo just at least they've decided to start hiring pros again. So we're gonna see how that goes.
I don't know, because Vertigo, I really liked Vertigo back in its heyday.
Yep. So
Vertigo was the elite of 1990s comics.
Oh yeah. If you wanted to be indie but sell mainstream, it was Vertigo. Really, Image was a little bit even behind that in terms of quality.
The best writers of the time were there. I mean, Dennis, Warren Ellis, all these guys, that later will become classics. Grant Morrison was there.
Yep.
They were allowed to do things that other companies just couldn't do.
Yeah, I mean, I think it emerged out of the Comics Code Authority kind of dying too, or them trying to get around it. And they did. They certainly did. And I'm pleased they did. I wouldn't be here without particularly Hellblazer. But there's a Jonah Hex run I'm a huge fan of. That's Vertigo. And there's Vertigo is killer. I would have loved. Yes, Preacher. That's like out of the mainstream back in the day. It would have been Vertigo.
Have you guys read this comic by Joe Lansdale and Mark Nelson called Blood and Shadows?
Blood and Shadows. Blood and Shadows. Reminds me of some. No, I'm thinking of Blood. Never mind.
No, it's really obscure. I say this because it's also Vertigo, and it's really obscure, and nobody seems to know about it. But it kind of reminds me of Jack Irons because it's actually a horror western, except it begins in the 1940s Texas, then it jumps to the past in 1800s Texas, and then jumps to an alternate dimension. Which is
neat.
Action Texas. It's awesome. The script it's awesome. It has like serial killers and Lovecraftian gods and cyberpunk bounty hunters, and there's everything in that script. I recommend that comic book.
Okay, Blood and Shadows, folks.
I'm looking at it right now.
Sounds like.
Go for it.
I like this.
I have a weird relationship with this comic book because I first found about it existing in a secondhand bookstore in Brussels. I saw the cover and I said, okay, let's try this. Loved it. Then I didn't see any other issues ever again for like 3 other years. And I saw issue 2 on another secondhand bookstore somewhere else. And that's how I've been buying this comic, like jumping from bookstore to bookstore, like digging it up in back issues, drawers and all that.
Excuse me. That's interesting. I don't know. I think the style of this comic, that it looks kind of like I see what you mean about it looking like Jack Irons, like with the whole western, and then you got like robots and hey, they even have heads on spikes. I know how much you have heads on spikes, Cody.
I do. We do have severed heads. It doesn't really matter what they're on. You'll see issue 1, issue 2 so far, severed heads. We'll see if issue 3 keeps that up. I know there is a cutout heart in issue 3, unless that doesn't make the final script. But cut out cooked heart actually. So we're keeping that Vertigo edge without going full there. So we're gonna see.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. But yeah. Do you guys find that you have time to read many comics these days?
Me, I've been tearing through the original Dragon Ball still. I'm almost done. I'm on volume 40. Yeah, 40. I just hit 40, so it's the end of the Boost, kind of beginning mid of the Boost saga. And that's been easy because it's manga. I can just tear through a chapter in that 5-6 minutes. And so I've just been burning through that.
I read Dragon Ball when I was a kid, and my mom would buy me a book, and I would read through it and be like, okay, I'm done, and be like the next day, and it's like, oh crap.
Yeah,
Like, I'm going
no,
through
it's
too
so
fast.
easy to read through it. I had to buy all the big collected ones, about 3 or 4, I guess 9 volumes technically, because they come in books of 3. But yeah, at a time, because I was tearing through them so damn quick.
Do you still read Hellblazer at all, or?
Oh yeah, I've been, believe it or not, I haven't gotten through all of Ennis's run of it.
Really?
Yeah, no, I've read a lot of Hellblazer. I collected a lot of singles and bought a lot of stuff. So
Oh,
I've read
nice.
separate issues and stuff, but I ended up getting a lot with all of Ennis's run on eBay a while back.
Oh,
I've been
that's
working
awesome.
Through.
Dang, so you're going the OG style, because I've actually been going through the new trade paperbacks.
That's yeah. I was OG. The paperbacks I have for Ennis and Delano.
Okay,
and
nice.
A couple other singles like City of Demons and all his
Nice,
engines.
nice, yeah.
But yeah, no. I enjoy myself some trade paperbacks. That is my preferred, honestly. But mainly because I don't have a comic shop anywhere near, so there's no reason to go pick up some random back issue for $1, which kind of sucks. I love doing that when I get the chance.
I love floppies and just as much as the next guy, but for me personally, just the way I like to do it, yeah, I like trade paperbacks just because you get it's you know, you don't have to be going in every single month, and yeah, you get a lot more story at a time.
Yeah, that's my biggest single collection is Punisher, and I almost have the full unlimited run from his first unlimited run. So that's been a hell of a thing collecting. I'm only missing like 5 issues, so I still haven't gotten a chance to find those singles. But that's what pisses me off. That's why I bought all of Max in trade paperbacks, Punisher Max, and that kind of stuff, because hunting for those single issues when it's only one in between 2 or 3, it bugs me in a storyline. It's like, oh, what happened to the last one? Why is he here now? Okay, well, next let's just read this one. Oh, okay, it's good. And then I keep reading, but yeah, and the more comfortable read, the better, I think, for everybody.
Yeah, no, they can definitely see that. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to compete against more faster, more satisfactory, right? Well, you know what I mean. Forms of entertainment, because you can listen to podcasts, you can listen to creepypasta 10 minutes. So you really need to make your comics easy and fun and comfortable to read, because otherwise you're gonna lose to other forms of entertainment.
Man, that's tough. Yeah, that's a good point.
Oh yeah, you know, we're on YouTube and using it, but we're also competing with it. It's hard out there for any kind of entertainment kind of industry that's not in line with the main. It's just awful.
Yeah.
So I'm glad there's some people kicking open doors, and I was lucky enough to slip in last year.
Nice.
Yes, I'm here.
You might have been the one who kicked down the door.
No, I was just behind the guy. But I was offering a different vibe than a lot of them were offering a much less angry vibe. So I was glad to be there. The anger kicked open the door. Happy about that. But once it's open, not too much need for it, in my opinion. But that's it is what it is. And I'm still happy to be here after a year.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where we go in the future. I was just going to say, I'm looking to expand our YouTube channel and do a few other things. And I know I have some ideas. Like I honestly was thinking about doing a bit of a comics travel show. I don't know. What do you think about that? Like where you going to like different places of interest?
I'd be kind of stoked to see you try to slip some Wikid titles into comic shops. That would be cool. Or talking to comic shop owners about what they like. You know,
not a bad idea.
Because people like Samedi, he can get comic shops, but he's got the stigma, that the very undeserved stigma. But he's got stigmas that some people won't want to talk with him, which is bullshit. Nice, wonderful man, as far as I've seen. But but I going in without a name has a benefit, I guess is the point of what I was trying to convey. So sometimes people will talk to people they don't know more than they'll talk to people they do.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I'd like to see that, because really
Nice.
the one thing that we're not seeing in the industry is real open communication between each of the very important sections. The bigwigs don't talk to the shops. The shops don't talk to the creators. Creators don't really talk to the shops. The creators don't really talk to the big industry. It's just nobody's talking and trying to get things working great.
I guess everyone thinks that they have the ultimate broth in their hands. They know better than anyone else.
Yes, and that's the issue. And obviously, if you're looking at the top-down situation, it ain't great. It's time to put heads together if possible.
Yeah. That's why I think our distribution network, building a new distribution network, is going to be so key.
Oh, I'm stoked. Yeah, I'm stoked. What is it, Emerald? You're still talking to?
Emerald, I'm talking with, and then of course Peter coming out with his thing later.
Yeah.
And we could build some sort of, the thoughts of, me and Matt have even kicked around ideas of potentially once we've built up our distribution in California, just start offering it for other people as well, and kind of almost start up a mini distribution company, almost like Emerald.
Yeah, if you guys can keep that up, I'd love to see that. That would be great.
Yeah, same
we
here,
need
man.
as much. Yeah, we need as much competition as possible out there at this point. I think it's the only thing that'll get people or get things to change.
Exactly.
Most likely because competition's always healthy. People want to sit there and say, no, competition's not healthy. It's like, you're just greedy. Come on.
Or just fearful, period. A lot of the time,
either way, you don't want to share a piece of that pie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think me and Matt being here in California, I think we're in a good position to build a good, strong network since there's so many stores out here in California.
Oh yeah, 6th largest economy in the world, for better or worse.
Yeah, I mean it's good location. Silicon Valley.
Right.
Yeah.
SoCal and NorCal both have a lot of good spots. LA, San Francisco, Sacramento. So there's definitely a lot of places to hit. And I've already
also
started
striking
feeding
distance of the biggest Comic Cons and such too for down the line, which is just glorious, honestly, because that's where I think you could really connect with a reader and make a lifelong supporter. Is you're there to say hello, be nice, and sell them something they'll enjoy, and then they'll remember that next time they look at it, and then they're like, oh, what they're doing now. That's what it takes. It's all investment in the future. You don't really see it up close. You just see it down the line, and hopefully you can build it into a snowball. But it's a grind. It's a grind for sure.
Oh yeah.
Well, I think we have easier now since we don't call people Nazis. That's the first step.
That does help.
Just don't call people Nazis.
Yeah, I haven't had almost any drama,
Here's the thing.
and I haven't done that.
If they actually
kind of odd
are, go ahead, but don't just blanket statement call them that. If they actually do the Nazi salute, say kill all Jews, this and that, okay, maybe go ahead and call them that. If they say they are, sure.
If they parade around if they parade around with a shaven head and a swastika on their arms saying Heil Hitler, then maybe you can call them Nazis.
I would still use the word skinhead first.
Yeah, that's also true.
Yeah, there's because it's really those that's the term. That's why that term emerged. That's why we stopped calling them Nazis. We call them skinheads because we don't need that they're dead. We beat them. We beat them 70 years ago, folks.
Well, can we call them neo-Nazis?
Let them die.
That's what they are, too.
This just took a dark turn. This podcast took a dark turn. We are wrapping up we're actually at the end of our hour here, so we're wrapping up this segment of the podcast. Is there something you guys like to tell your fans out there, and where can they follow you online?
Yeah, sure.
Go ahead, Jack.
Oh, okay. Look forward to issue number 2 next month. Within the next month, hopefully much sooner. We'll see how that goes. It should be at the printers within a month, but yeah, I'm pushing for quality over quantity over speed. So that's why I'm willing to make to suffer through the long periods. But I'm just hoping the backers, the quality that we're delivering, will also satisfy the backers in the same respect. And besides that, at Cowboy_Steel, if anybody's not familiar with that, best news for anything Jack Irons and Ironverse related. Second would be the Ironverse Alert at Ironverse Alert. That's kind of our promo account for everything Ironverse related. That has a slightly larger reach. I tend to not interact much on that, besides some odd corporate, very dark corporate marketing. People
like
don't
that.
seem to hook at it, but I enjoy it. People like
Me too.
They enjoy it, but I don't know if it works.
You get it?
You don't
Yes,
really
they quite
want to
get it,
tell
maybe?
people yeah, you don't want to tell people you got to toil and be part of the machine, but I like doing it. So we'll see. But that's another place if you want a little bit more interaction. Follow at at Coyote Cactus for that news if you guys are interested, for a slightly more fun but still dark Ironverse title. They're all gonna be dark. It's a grim dark universe, but it should be more fun than Jack will be. But Jack's more of an art think piece, so different goals for different audiences, and I hope people enjoy it.
Hey, Jack's still fun, man.
Oh yeah, I mean, if in different ways. I'm hoping issue 2 is still fun. The main thing I've still been doing with Jack is building that world. So that's still the main point, and the world is grimdark, so I have to present it as it got there. So once issue 2 gets you past that and gets you into the story. So
Nice.
hopefully once that gets going, I'll have more room to kind of have fun with this stuff instead of just laying groundwork. But yeah, those are the 3 Twitters. I am on Facebook. I don't update that too much, but you're welcome to find me there. Jack Irons the Steel Cowboy. There's also a page there, Jack Irons the Steel Cowboy. I do update the campaign on there. Sometimes I'll throw the books up there, things like that. At some point, hopefully, I can get a PR to help me out. And then we'll have more interaction for you guys. Lots of plans, lots of thoughts, lots of titles in the works, and I'm just happy to be able to even dream I can get any of it out. And thank you folks for having me on.
Oh, that's excellent. Yeah, I'm looking forward to all of your projects coming out soon. And Ibai, where can people follow you online, and what would you like to?
Well, I don't have a Twitter anymore because I keep saying that Twitter rejects me as it would a bad transplant. But you can follow me on Instagram. I just reopened recently my Instagram account. Yeah, and you can also reach me for commissions there. Even though I'm kind of busy right now because I have like 3 comic books lined up, so I'm a pretty busy ant. But yeah, you can follow me on Instagram. You can follow me on Facebook, in Gab, of course, where all the banished people dwell. And of course, go and back Tombstone Blues on Indiegogo. It's suffering kind of bit because probably due to me not being on Twitter and pushing it as much as I should. But yeah, go back that and make us both me and Jacob make us happy by giving a bit of your hard-earned money to it.
Yeah, it's a good project, guys. I backed it myself, and I'm looking forward to that one. And thanks for joining us, guys. I really appreciate it. Hopefully, we'll see you before the next podcast. Maybe we can get the movie night going or something, a game night or something going. But
yeah, no, I look forward to the movie night. That looks great.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, definitely. Awesome. Well, we're gonna move on to the next segment, guys. But thanks again for joining us, and we will see you guys next time.
Take care, guys.
Take care, folks.
Have a good one, guys.
How's it going,
Good luck
Brett?
to the Mythoverse. Take care, folks.
Thanks. Don't need it with us. How's it going, guys? Welcome to the chat, or what's the podcast?
I'm awake.
Thank God.
How's everybody doing?
Good. Are we all in? Yeah, we're all in, huh?
Yep.
Very nice. Very nice.
Cody's still here.
That's okay. Cody's a good guy. Don't knock Cody.
We're not knocking him. We're just judging him.
By the way, Cody, I'm not kidding. I did, Cody. I already checked the Wikid DM because I just dropped you the perfect PR guy.
Is he actually here still? He might not actually be here.
Yeah, he might be a ghost.
Ghost,
AFK, right?
Cowboy in the Machine.
He's AFK right now. Not to be confused with Adobe.
Adobe's a ghost in the machine?
No, I mean no. Dan, you should probably explain the joke.
Which joke? I'm sorry, I was distracted.
AFK.
Oh, okay, yeah. Adobe's initials are AFK. Her full name is Adobe Francine Kroger, and she hates being called AFK.
Cody's gonna lurk. Cody's
like
funny.
20, 30 years ago, people would never have known.
Yeah, I was gonna say sorry. I was gonna say Cody's in the chat. He says I'm a lurk here now, but Google loves him too much, so I won't let him get out of the Hangouts.
He's going to lurk like a guru in the dark.
Yeah, Cody, check the DM because I just gave you the Twitter of the perfect PR guy for comics. Trust me, this guy is magic. Matt and Dan know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. He's tops. You want him on your team.
Nice. So you guys are it's a big week for you guys. You guys are starting your campaign.
That's correct. And next Thursday.
Week, right? Next Thursday. Wow.
Yeah.
That's all next week.
Huh?
I thought it was next week.
It isn't. Yeah.
It kind of is, but whatever. It's Thursday.
Yeah, I know. I'm joking around.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm looking at my calendar. It looks like next week to me. Just looking at the calendar.
Oh, we got a week left. We're in a final week. Final stretch.
Yeah, and the campaign was officially approved, so we are not wrong thinkers officially.
Yes. Very good.
We don't have any offensive videos out there, or lukewarm videos that are offensive to people who are looking to be offended.
Yeah, we do all our offensive stuff in private.
Nice.
Like smart people do.
Or in print,
Exactly.
You know, like there's what about that swimsuit scene? I feel like there could be some moral outrage by some select few.
Hey, those are strong, independent women, and I'm not going to shame them for wearing bikinis on the beach.
Good answer. Good answer.
If you're going to be offended, we might as well announce the Mythoverse swimsuit issue.
But speaking of which, Mythoverse has 3 strong leading ladies, and what has been like kind of crafting those characters?
Interestingly enough, I didn't go out to create a strong leading lady. I just wanted to make a relatable character. And for me, and for me as a writer, anyway, it's easier for me to make female characters more sympathetic because people tend to sympathize more with female characters. I've seen, at least in my experience as a writer. You're able to explore a broader range of emotions with them and have readers resonate with them a lot easier than with a male character, at least in my lifetime. That may be changing, but yeah, I'm a bit old school.
In my case, the only reason I made Maeve a girl was just so I wouldn't be tempted to insert myself into her.
Yeah, that's definitely so too.
Yeah, I wanted to keep keep a certain level of distance between her as a character and myself because I need her to feel like her own person. I don't want her to just feel like I'm just writing about myself because I'm honestly not that interesting.
Hey, don't say that. Don't sell yourself short.
Well, that's very typical of a creative person. I mean, Bill Watterson said, "Hey, I don't want to interview because there's nothing really that interesting about me. Just look at the comic. That's the interesting stuff."
I wonder if
Michael.
Go on, Matt. I'm sorry.
Well, I remember hearing one story from J. Michael Straczynski who said that he once charged for an autograph. Then, because he realized that he's not that interesting, hunted down that guy and gave him his money back.
Wow, that's pretty nice of him.
I was also going to bring up Steve Ditko because he almost never did interviews, but I think that was just because the guy was just, well, Steve Ditko was just Steve Ditko. That's the best way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm with Matt. For me, keep the focus on the work because I'm just a software engineer. I sit down and type code all day. It's not all that interesting. So yeah, just focus on these cool, amazing, fantastical adventures we're putting together.
Speaking of which, what are you guys doing to prepare for your crowdfunding campaign in this final week?
Well, like I said, the campaign has just recently been approved, so it's all set to launch whenever we choose. We have a special side project that we haven't yet formally announced that we've been working on that's going to greatly assist in our community building exercises moving forward. We're working with a very talented artist who's putting together an entirely separate property that's derived from the Mythoverse, but is not directly canon. It's kind of like almost a parallel Lego-like world where things are a little bit sillier, but the characters don't realize that they're in that kind of a silly world. So, and we're just moving forward, getting our artwork completed. Leandro just turned in page 9 out of 24 for issue 1, and the action is really starting to heat up. And he's really starting to show his chops. Really excited.
Nice, kind of coming into his own with it.
Yeah, I mean the first several pages were not really action packed. We're just getting to know the characters and their relationships to each other. And the swell of action is just now beginning. It's really starting to heat up.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be exciting to see. And, man, all of your projects are so strong. I think it's interesting to see how they each have their own unique styles. They're, very strong visually that way.
Yeah, that's one of our selling points is that whenever I promote it, I try to emphasize that there's 3 genres, 3 styles, 3 stories, but they're all in one universe. They do fit together, but if you're more a fan of straightforward action, you'll probably find Adobe Kroger more to your liking. More cerebral, intellectual, you'll probably have a better time with Mythics. And if you're just a huge manga fan and you're more of like a fan of lighthearted character-driven action adventure, then we have Changeling for you. So
nice. Yeah, I'm excited to dive into all 3 and get the full Mythoverse experience.
Mm-hmm. And I am inserting some things that will be setting up events in the later universes, but they won't make any sense and will probably go unnoticed until we reach the crossover event. Then you can go back and say, oh, that's what that was setting up. So that's the sort of thing that I'm...
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I was going to say, can you read these in any order, these 3 comics, or do you have a preferred chronological order or some sort of set order?
As far as my goal is, I want to make sure that you can read any of the stories in any order you wish. They will reference one another, but you don't have to read them in any order, at least as far as I'm concerned. They do take place at different time periods. Like, for example, Adobe Kroger takes place in 2012, where Maeve is... when did we decide when her birth year was?
It's present day, so she was born in 2005.
Okay, so yeah, Maeve will be 7, so Maeve will not reach her current age when Changeling starts for another 7 in-universe years. So all these events are taking place prior to that. But again, you don't have to read them in that particular chronological order for you to understand what's going on.
I think the earliest one is, the earliest in the timeline is Mythics.
Yep.
Yeah, the first Mythic story takes place when?
Somewhere between 2007 and 2008.
Yep. So there's a lot of events that are being set up, and they will all eventually tie together.
Oh, I definitely can't. Changeling's going to be the one exception in this, just because Maeve is just so isolated in her own town, so she's not going to know anything about what's going on in Adobe Kroger or Mythics.
For a while, it would seem potentially maybe down the line, but for now, kind of isolated.
Yeah, that was the whole point. That was the whole point of the book. I mean, I wanted to get that fairy tale atmosphere, and they always have they always take place in towns that are out in the middle of nowhere.
Idyllic, small town. Everybody knows each other, right? Kind of thing.
Yeah, well, that's one way of putting it, but it's just they're always you ever go back to old fairy tales, stuff into the stuff like Grimm's fairy tales and shit, always happens in a town that is always happens in a town or a village that's just out like really. It's like I said, it's just basically out in the middle of nowhere. There's no city for like the nearest city is probably miles away, and it's just.
I see. So it's more about that isolation than anything.
Yeah, you're
Interesting.
Yeah, and so like I just kind of thought to myself, if you're going to transplant that to the modern day, you're going to want to put that in a setting that is like about as far from like a metropolis as you could get. So so with that in mind, I just sort of said to myself, okay, how do I get as far from Seattle as possible? But yeah, and then I looked, and it's just Aberdeen just fit the bill perfectly.
Check this out. Boom.
Oh yes.
I love that.
Yeah, that is Moonlight Shadow's art. She is an exquisite artist, and she's completely nailed the aesthetic we're going for with that project.
So fun, dude.
Yeah,
that's little baby Maeve.
Yeah, and
So
her first word was to call Adobe an ox.
This is basically like a. Yeah, this is kind of the side thing. This is the thing we're doing on the side, just so we have a regular flow of content.
Nice
for the fans. And
that'd be fun. Yeah,
like this is something we can. This is something we can do. This is something we can do a little. We can do it for a little bit. We can do for less money and just do a little and do more regularly. It's just a thing about Antonella that unless she works incredibly fast.
Nice. That's always a good thing for that kind of a series.
Yes, and her instincts are incredible. Like she throws in little things that aren't in the script.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Like that mouth. I was that mouth part in the script, like the way her mouth's like that.
I did mention that she had cutie fangs, but that was it. But
nice.
A good example of her instincts is in the previous panel. It's not visible here, but in the previous panel, Elfie calls Adobe a big dumb ox, and then she just puts this little floating caption with an arrow pointing at Adobe's face that says "big dumb ox." It's just she has really good knowledge of manga idiosyncrasies and conventions.
That's cool. That's really cool. Yeah, and I was gonna say something you can notice from this panel here is that the dialogue is right to left, so it's going traditional manga style.
Yes and no.
Yeah, I mean it is in this case, but the rest of in the comic was flowing Western style, so we actually did have her correct this.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
Yeah. But if it were a manga, this would be correct. Yes,
that makes sense. Coming from the artist coming from a background of having like manga experience, typically we want to do it right to left. So.
Yeah. Yes, if this were manga, that would be technically perfect.
Yeah, if I could basically just sum up what the premise of this little web comic is, it's just a more slice of life much more cartoonish take on the whole universe. So you're gonna see more characters from the Mythoverse pop up in here, and we even have like floated ideas like to do segments with just Maeve. The best way I can sum what those would be like is think Rugrats meets Calvin and Hobbes.
Yeah, there's so many things we can do with that conceit. Like in this case, we have Adobe and Althea arguing over the baby, and it's established right off the bat that Maeve and Adobe will have a rocky relationship. So there's a lot of opportunity for comedy there. But to what Brett just said, yeah, we can have like little Maeve have conversations with any fey creature that happens to live under her bed or in her closet or what have you, and just have her escape into her imagination. It's great. We can do anything we want with that.
I think what I really love about this is that in the real Mythoverse, Althea and Adobe are kind of portrayed opposite in this webcomic, because like one of the panels I kind of wrote in a little Scott Pilgrim text box just because it's silly and it fits the tone, that Adobe is the responsible one with a stable career, and Althea is just in between jobs writing on her writing career to take off, and it still hasn't. When in the actual books, it's kind of the other way around.
Yeah, like Elthia is the more mature one. She's the smarter one. Adobe is not stupid, but she's a mid-level intelligence. And
at this point, you wouldn't. At this point, let's just say, if I had kids, I wouldn't leave them with Adobe.
No, that would be a very bad idea. Very bad idea.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. It's almost like what is that? It's like one of those sitcom situations. You have two older people and then the baby. It's like
exactly, and one wants to play house and the other doesn't, and sit back and let the comedy happen.
Exactly.
Yeah, and even though what's really great is that even though the roles are kind of reversed, yes, we still kept a lot of traits that are part of their characters.
So. Oh, sorry. I was going to say in the chat we have Zach Hawkins asks, Dan, how did you pick the name for Adobe Kroger?
How did I pick the name for Adobe Kroger? Well, I wanted my main character to have a name that was very distinct and was very unlikely to have been used very often in that combination. So I was working on Adobe Photoshop, and I had a Pac-Man poster next to me, and my brain jumped from that to the fact that I used to play Pac-Man at the local Kroger supermarket when I was 7. Mm-hmm. So I said, there's her name, Adobe Kroger.
Dang it.
Yeah, it was it was just a bunch of serendipity. That's it.
That's wild, because it really does have a nice ring to it.
Thanks. Yeah, it's a very unlikely name for a holy night. And and that opened up the whole thing with giving her a middle name that would allow her initials to spell AFK and have that be a point of contention to her self-esteem.
So in a sense, the name kind of grew organically on you.
Yes, exactly. I mean, I was grasping around for a name for this character. I knew I wanted it to be unusual and maybe even a little bit outlandish. Mm-hmm. And I just said, "Hey, there you go." I was just looking at one thing, and that led my brain to leap into another place, and it just seemed to work.
Interesting.
I'm gonna
Did that work with you two as well? Or was it a little bit more different?
What's that?
Oh, towards
we have dead air now.
Sorry, what did you say?
No, I think I accidentally muted myself. Fuck, I'm hella more tired than I thought. Did Brett and Matt, did you two do kind of the same thing? Want more of unique names and everything else?
Okay, well, in my case, so where Maeve's name came from was when I was 15. My dad got me something that became my favorite game of all time. It was Warcraft 3. It was the Battle Chest. And when I got to the Frozen Throne expansion and I was playing the Night Elf campaign, one of the hero characters in there was a warden named Maev Shadowsong. And I'm pretty sure a lot of WoW players know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, she's a warden.
I know, because I remember playing Warcraft 3.
If you played WoW, you know who she is.
I played a little bit of that, too.
She's this badass night elf who keeps the demon hunters imprisoned until they're needed.
Yeah.
Nice, dude.
Okay, so, yeah. The name just kind of just got burned in my head, and then I just thought I just really liked how it sounded, and then I decided to just you know what? I like this name. Why don't I just use it for my character? Sure. And then but the thing was, I kind of saw what I thought was an alternate spelling, and a friend of mine ended up correcting me. That's not pronounced Maev, it's pronounced Maeve. And I did not want to walk back on it, so I just decided, you know what, fuck it, I'll just run with it. It's Maeve, it doesn't matter. And where her last name came from was I just went with Mackenzie just because it had a good alliterative flow.
Oh, nice. And that feels like it would fit well with the fairy tale, this thematic that you're going with.
It does. Oh well, it does. Well, because the fact is, where her name comes from, actually, believe it or not, Maeve. It's actually the name of a fairy queen. But she's actually kind of a bitch. Without getting into too much detail, she's the reason Cuchulainn dies at the Battle of Cooley.
The Battle of Cooley? Yeah. LL Cool J? Oh, Cool J.
Thank.
No, I'm just kidding.
I think that was the name of the battle. I forgot. I gotta double. Give me a sec. I just want to double check that. Cattle Raid of Kool-Aid. No, that wasn't it.
Kool-Aid? Wait,
No,
what?
Kool-Aid.
Now you're just messing with me.
I said Cattle Raid of Kool-Aid. Like,
okay.
It's
Jeez,
fucking.
now-
It's Irish. Okay, I don't understand. I don't.
Oh,
pretend-
okay.
Okay, like he just
Fair
enough. He dies in a battle and it's her fault. I'll just put that there. So yeah, he's good. Yeah, that's the best way I can put it. Like Maeve's got nothing in common with her namesake.
Hey, that's somehow that happens, sometimes.
Yeah.
And what about Althea? Where did the name Althea come from?
Well, I've got a character naming source book, so I decided to put to use, and so I decided to put together a name that actually meant something. But and although her last name is more, it just sounds like it's flowed better. The name Althea is Old English for healer, and I went with her first name as Maria because it also means bitter. So her name is actually Bitter Healer.
Bitter Healer?
Yep.
Does bitter refer to her personality or her medicine?
Well, more for her a little of both, because she's not exactly a healer, but still, actually, whenever she goes in, she always goes in to help.
Mm.
And as I'll say things, even if it doesn't, it's not. Even if it's not diplomatic, she'll say it because it's something that needs to be heard. Although she's not going to be blunt like, say, Adobe Kroger, in which it'll be the first things that come to mind. She'll take some time to think about it and piece it all together before actually saying it.
Interesting, yeah.
I can imagine when she's speaking to Adobe, there's something of an IQ communication gap also.
Well, that too.
How so?
Well, if you're like two standard deviations apart, you can have trouble either understanding or speaking in a way that the other person can understand. And I picture Althea and Adobe as having a dynamic similar to Holmes and Watson, where she can follow most of it, but Althea may have to eventually think of a way to speak in simpler terms so that Adobe can follow them more easily.
I look at it more as I think Althea has a higher verbal IQ, whereas Adobe's is just more. What's the more of a mechanical, it's different type of intelligence. It's more like I think it's less. It's more like they're speaking two different languages.
More of where Althea is kind of book wise, Adobe's more streetwise in a sense. It's kind of more
kind of. It's just more like. It kind of goes back to how people have different learning styles. I kind of imagine Adobe is not someone who's very. Is it fair to say, Dan, that Adobe does not learn well by memorizing shit and learns better just by doing it?
Yeah, I think a good distinction to make is Adobe is more of a tactical thinker, and Althea is more of a strategic thinker. Althea can more easily see at a wider range, and she can more easily make far-reaching plans, and she has maybe a longer time preference, whereas Adobe can think on the spot, improvise, and may have trouble seeing around, the corner. But while she is within her box, she's very effective.
I could see that. It's kind of more of kind of like strategists in war versus generals in war. Generals are the people in the war. Meanwhile, the strategists are the ones who plan things ahead of time to see where things might go and during the battle to kind of outflank maneuver. Meanwhile, the generals out on the field taking care of the enemies, thinking as they're going.
Right. She's more like a non-commissioned like maybe a sergeant in the field, whereas Althea would be an officer. You know.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like have you seen Aliens? You had the lieutenant who was basically the eyes in the sky with the screens, and he's telling the squad what to do. Then you have the sergeant who's like, "Wait, say again. What are you telling us to do?" You know, and he's good at directing the squad and understanding how to deal with the situations as they arise.
I guess another way of putting it is Althea was on the honor roll in high school. Adobe wasn't.
Adobe didn't even go to school.
Well, let's just say that Althea went to school. It's just that she had the intelligence to control her grades so that she could keep them low enough so that she doesn't get kicked out of school.
Okay, more like she could have been on the honor roll if she tried.
Yep.
But she just wasn't interested, wasn't challenged enough or something.
More like she was acting out. That was her teenage rebellion.
Duskull team in the chat says Althea was on the honor roll while Adobe was being the snot out of the gang toll taker.
Yeah, let's just say Adobe may have had bullies, but they didn't bully her for very long.
Yeah, that's interesting. Actually, I wanted to ask you, has Adobe ever been involved in any kind of like large-scale battle or war?
Well, in the comic, she's leading a very small squad. So she does get involved in some pretty intense skirmishes where she's the spearhead of the operation. And later on, she will be involved in much larger confrontations. Essentially, each little part of the story, I intend to scale it up a bit until we're dealing with this massive crossover event that we have planned.
Nice, dude. That's so cool. Yeah, can I ask you another question about Adobe Kroger? This in particular about Knight Errant and the other series. So we have one book currently out, and more to come. 2 more on the way.
That's right.
How do you plan to? Because Knight Errant was written before the Mythoverse had been created. How do you look at it going a little differently now, going forward, writing those other books now that you have to incorporate somehow Mythoverse potentially?
Yeah, I do. The good thing, though, about Knight Errant is that it's a very self-contained story. It's told from her perspective. It's a first-person narrative, and we're staying largely within her own sphere of influence and her own understanding of the world. And she's still very inexperienced at that point. So I don't necessarily do a lot of heavy world building yet. I hint at it through the other characters that know a lot more than Adobe does. Mm-hmm. So I'm working currently on the second novel, which is going to be called Adobe Kroger Partisan Sentinel. And it's going to go even more into her head and bring in more elements from the world, incorporating what I've been able to work in from the Mythoverse, including references to Althea and other characters she may have met in her adventures in Dame Commander.
Nice, yeah, that's exciting. I can't wait to dig into that.
Me either. Hopefully the narrator for the audiobook will be available to read the second one because she is amazing. If you haven't had a chance to hear her voiceover work, she did narrate the trailer for the Mythoverse's Adobe Kroger's part of the Mythoverse. Yeah, she's really good. And there are some scenes in the book when she was reading them for the audiobook that I actually didn't recognize. I thought it had been written by somebody else because of the strength of her performance and her emoting was so strong. I was like, did I write that?
That's definitely the way to go then. Honestly, can we recommend that as the premiere experience for that book?
Oh, yes. I mean, I love the book. I mean, I had a lot of fun writing it. I mean, it took a long time to complete it because I started it 2 weeks before my daughter was born. And then I had to put everything on pause. I had this really funny, like, hey, I'm going to finish this before my daughter is born because I've already got 10,000 words written.
Oh, boy.
Right? So I can definitely do that. Yeah, I didn't finish it until she was 5.
I feel you on that, dude.
That's what happens when you have kids.
Yeah,
God. And writing a novel in general, oh my God, it's such a demanding task of having to sit down over and over and just do it.
You're my dad. Tell her raising kids is more demanding.
Probably.
Oh yeah, it definitely is. I mean, I actually was not able to even work on the book for like 8 month stretches because yeah, I mean, kids they change the game completely. You know, your schedule changes. Like you get unpredictable bursts of sleep, so you're never at your best. You know,
what my dad told me is when you have kids, your life stops being your own.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, she became the ruler of the household. Like her needs were always, the priority. But I still had to get up and go to work every day, no matter how tired I was. I still needed to stay up late with her if she didn't go to sleep, no matter how tired I was. And it's like, when am I going to get a chance to work on? Oh, maybe tomorrow. And then like 50 tomorrows later, I may have a chance to get back to it. But yeah,
that's dedication right there.
The only thing that surprises me about your kids, Dan, is that you told me that, like, and this is just coming from my experience having worked retail. It is not uncommon for me to have to go a day and hear somebody's kid several aisles over just throwing one hell of a tantrum, and somehow his kids were behaved.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, it all comes down. Well, I think it helped that we homeschooled and that my wife left her job to stay home with the kids. That was something that was hugely instrumental in keeping them well adjusted because they never felt like that their bond with their parents was never broken for 8 hours a day in daycare. And I think that's a huge thing that is causing a lot of behavioral issues because it's been shown that if a child is left in with strangers for more than a couple of hours, they experience the same symptoms as if they were completely abandoned by their parents.
That's weird.
Yeah. So for the first couple of years, you really
so traumatized now.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's why
I used to go to the YMCA and after school. Maybe that's why I used to get in so much trouble in school.
Yeah, my friend's 2-year-old though, she would get kind of fussy though, but that was only because she hadn't had her nap yet.
No. Yeah, I mean, they're little people, they need to be well fed, they need to be well rested. They just they don't have the emotional maturity to hide their discomfort. They just let it all out. So
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely an adventure. It's a challenge, but
I think one of the worst days I had at work was just this one time I could hear this kid just wailing several aisles over. And then as if God decided to really, really have fun with me, that kid's dad had rolled into the aisle I was stalking in, and I was like this close from hearing his kid scream. Like right in my ear, basically.
That's retail for you, man. I me and Matt used to work at Office Depot together. And oh man, we could tell you some stories.
Yeah, even Hobby Lobby before that, and World Market sometimes.
I'll just say this: I wouldn't.
Where I'm working now, I still hear that sometimes. But I mean, luckily it's a showroom, so it's a little bit easier to deal with because you don't have 4 or 5 other people you need to either watch or help at the same time. I mean, luckily for me, I'm just the janitor, so I don't have to deal with any of that. I just clean up after the people.
At Office Depot, though, we were working you were in the print department there, and I was in the in just the floor service. And that one was hectic, man.
Where I'm working at, I went to
print department.
Yeah, dude.
Where I'm working at currently, I would not send my worst enemy there.
Where are you working at again, man?
I am not gonna. I don't want to do that. Not at least until it quit.
Throw eggs at him. Come on, you heard it, guys. You heard it. He said it, not me.
Wait, what? Who said
what? Nothing. No one said anything.
Who outed me?
You heard it, viewers. You heard it.
Who out me?
Nope, I didn't.
But yeah, so
I'm just lucky I got I'm just feeling lucky that I've got a job interview on the 25th before we go live.
Yay. Speaking of which, yeah, I mean, you guys are going live in about a week. That's crazy.
Less than a week.
Yeah, I mean, we've got everything pretty much in place. The campaign should be ready to go. We all have a lot of artwork done in advance of the campaign's launch. So we shouldn't have that much of an issue completing it in the time frame that we promised. And all of our artists are thrilled about it. Like every time Leandro turns in some new art, he's like, "One more week to go. I'm excited." I'm like, "Yep." so he's thrilled. We're gonna get his best work, and he's already damn good. But when he's enthusiastic, man, he turns in some epic stuff. Like right now, he's working on a promotional pinup of all three ladies, and it's going to be a nice little action shot with perhaps a little Easter egg in the background, indicating a possible future plot line.
Nice. For those
and I got his preview right here in front of me, and man, this guy is amazing. I can't wait to see this one finished.
Oh man, yeah, I'm looking forward to that too.
Yeah,
he's got a good skill. Yeah, all three of the artists that you guys are working with have just really great talent. So it's gonna be fun.
And not only that, they're all perfect for the books they're working on. Like, I couldn't imagine anyone else penciling Changeling than Victor. I think he's just ideal for the task, and same thing with Ginger for the colors, and Bethy is just nailing it with Mythics. Like all the new pages she's turning in.
I was gonna say, kind of goes back to what I said in a previous stream about how much aesthetics count for a book, and how when you're an indie creator, you really need to be mindful of that. You can't just plug anyone into a book and it'll work. Sometimes you got to be a little. Sometimes you have to be a little bit more discriminated and find the artist that fits your vision the best.
Yep.
Yeah, the artist is like the director, the cinematographer, and the lighting and the blocking, and the writers are the script writers. So you wouldn't hire like a comedic director to direct a horror film and expect the tone to be correct.
I don't know. I mean, like I feel like I can almost. I think there have been directors who've transitioned from one genre to another, but that's still pretty true.
Yeah, I mean, you want the right person for the job. Is what I'm saying. Like, I wouldn't have Leandro pencil Changeling in his style that he's utilizing for Adobe. It just wouldn't be right for the story.
It would look good, yeah, but it just wouldn't. But it would feel off.
Yeah, I mean, his art. I've never seen bad art from him. It just wouldn't be appropriate for the script.
I wanted to bring up 2.0. 2.0. One, I really like one of the shots I really like from Adobe Kroger is that one shot with the dude with all the tattoos. All those tattoos, man.
Oh yeah. And those tattoos will be important later.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, he is the this is like a Batman cold open where like you start in the middle, like in media res, in the middle of the action, and he is like the first sort of mini villain that Adobe is encountering, and I cannot wait for the next issue where the bulk of his action takes place. It's going to be a visual treat.
Nice, yeah, that's gonna be really exciting. Kind of like a kind of. Is it a slower start then? Would you say, or is it still pretty?
Oh no, it's not a slower start. We get about 5 or 6 pages to set up the situation, introduce the characters and how they interact with one another, and then Adobe literally leaps into action on page.
Nice. I feel like that's a good fit for Adobe.
Oh yeah, definitely. And there's going to be the first issue is going to have some seriously intense action. Like I said in a previous stream, one of my directions was literally make sure it's a bloody mess. Yeah,
that's a fun thing to be able to say to an artist.
Yes. I cannot wait to see how he interprets it because he has very strong instincts.
That's excellent. Now, we should probably mention. I think we're planning to do another stream with you guys, our campaign countdown, and we have that set for the launch day. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking. We hold off on actually launching the campaign until we're in the stream. That way we can get everyone together and get everyone pumped up. So,
can you do that? Can you do solo launch?
I guess the only thing I got the only thing I gotta stress though is that you guys remember that I told you my interview was at 11.
Definitely.
Right. So what I was thinking is we hold off launching it until the evening of the 25th because I can just click the button to launch it any time, I think. So maybe during the stream we launch it. That way we get anyone that's interested in backing it in with us, so we can discuss some of the early bird rewards, get everyone pumped up for it. And yeah.
I'm done with that. Like I said.
Cool. Well, yeah, everyone definitely look for that on the launch day. We'll be posting more about it in the Twitter, so you'll find more in the coming days. But yeah, definitely check that out. We're gonna be talking all about it and kind of celebrating the launch of it.
Yeah, this is a year in the making, creatively and on the business end. So yeah, this is not a seat. Well, I wouldn't go so far as to say we're not entirely seat of our pants, because this is the first time we're launching a campaign, let alone one featuring 3 distinct properties with 3 different teams. But we put a lot of work into this. We put a lot of thought into this, and we got a solid foundation. And this is just going to be a very exciting thing to be able to get involved with.
Nice. Yeah. That's so cool. And now we have a question in the chat here. This one actually, I think would be, if I'm not mistaken, might be best handled by Dan and Matt. Matt B. That be coming from an artist perspective. Zach Hawkins asks, do you have any thoughts on the iPad Pro 2nd generation for drawing device? He needs something he can use without a desktop CPU.
Gotcha. I use a Microsoft Surface Book Pro 2 to do my artwork. And my buddy has the very device that you mentioned, and I've used it with Procreate, and it's just as good. I'm just more familiar with the Windows platform, and I already had a Creative Cloud subscription, so I just used all of that. I went out and bought a Surface, and it's served me well. I've done like the last 300 Molly Beans comics on it, and I wouldn't trade it in for anything. It hasn't given me any issues.
Oh, no, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I've thought about buying a Surface myself. I've personally used just regular PC back in the day with a plug-in graphic tablet. It's okay, but as far as the iPad Pro, I don't have any experience with. The closest I have is the iPad Air 2, which is what I'm using right now with, I would say, a second market pen for it, which works pretty well, but it takes a little bit of time to get used to, because the sensitivity isn't necessarily correct for the iPad, but it works. So
Yeah,
I'm
nice.
just having to experiment with a few different pens to get it like perfect.
I will agree with Matt there. I mean, I think it all comes down to what software you prefer, because hardware-wise, the only thing I really care about is the pressure sensitivity intuitive enough for me to use it, and that is the case in both cases for the Surface and the iPad Pro. So it comes down to like, which device do you prefer, which software do you prefer working with, and just for me, it was just easier to go with the Surface.
Nice, that's awesome. Yeah, I knew you guys would be the ones to ask on that one. I was like, I don't know, I have no clue. I don't do art. I just write stuff.
I mean, there are artists who still love doing traditional. I still love doing a lot of work by hand with pencil and then ink. You know, it's still a good way to keep myself fresh and good way for me to study as well. But I mean, digital for me is like something completely new. I've been having to retrain myself for the past year or two.
Nice.
With it, so it's been in quite a curve for it.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I will echo that sentiment again. There definitely is a transition if you're more used to the traditional. But the big advantage of digital is you make a mistake, it's easy to fix, and you don't really have to keep buying materials.
Now, if you don't mind,
yeah.
Can we talk a little bit about the magazine for a minute or a couple minutes?
Oh yes, absolutely.
Because Dan, you're going to be coming out with a new comic serial, a spin-off comic. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what that's about?
Absolutely. Well, I've been drawing Molly Beans. It's now on hiatus over at mollybeans.com for the duration of the Kickstarter campaign. So I have a little bit more time to devote to the campaign. But I've been drawing that comic about a young software engineer since about 2016. And she has a love interest named Chuck Harris. And he became a fan favorite almost immediately because he's the stoic alpha male that doesn't take any shit. And he's very snarky. And he has no patience for incompetence. And he became such a fan favorite that I began thinking of like, well, what does he do when he's not in the Molly Bean strip? So I devised this entire premise around his life and Molly Beans' story from his perspective. and it's going to be called Call Me Chuck, and it's much more somber. In fact, it's in black and white because he's a very stark character, and it's essentially Molly's story from his point of view, and his family, his challenges, and his shortcomings, and all of his little adventures. And yeah, I mean, thank you. I tried to make it much more. I spent a lot more time on the backgrounds, a lot more time making the buildings look nice, and it's a lot more dreamlike and surreal because Chuck is kind of stuck in his own head a lot. Like the first couple pages, we don't even see him; we see it from his point of view.
And everyone's talking to him.
Yeah, they're talking to him, and he doesn't even reply. He just gives a hand gesture, like "Yep, okay." And then the first time you see him is when he sits down in front of his desk, and his image is reflected in his computer monitor, and he just says, "I'm not staying here. I'm leaving. Bye."
That was a nice touch, I thought.
Yeah. So I'm having a lot of fun with that, exploring his history, why he is the way he is, and why meeting Molly Beans was such an important part of his life. And it's going to be a fun little story. It's kind of like an independent film, you know, like it was shot in black and white on a low budget, and it's very character driven. Like there's not going to be that much that actually happens. It's just him interacting with his family, his coworkers, and
like Clerks.
Yeah, kind of like Clerks. Yeah, there you go. That's a good analogy. It's stark. It's black and white. It's talky, and it's all based around character interactions.
I can't think of a movie that's more Gen X than Clerks, to be honest.
What's that?
Do you think of a movie that's more Gen X than Clerks?
No, it's not possible. No.
Now, is this something that you need to be a reader of Molly Beans to appreciate, or can you enjoy it as a standalone?
You can enjoy it as a standalone. I mean,
nice.
I'm establishing him as his own character from the get-go. Molly Beans will show up. In fact, the only color in the comic will be her blue hair, and that's obviously important.
Nice.
But yeah, you will not need to have read the Molly Beans comic, but please do read it. I mean, there's 337 comics up there over 3 years, and I think there's a nice little character-driven story happening there.
Yeah, I was going to say for readers for people who are interested in reading that, and they start getting into that, do you think that would be also there's more to enjoy for reading both of them?
Yes, because the story will be told from his perspective, and you'll see what's in his head. And they're perfectly fine to enjoy on their own because their philosophies are distinct on purpose. Like he's much more of a stoic, and Molly is much more of a Aristotelian optimist. So she sees every new day as an opportunity to improve the world, and he's like, "Why am I still here? There's no point. Everyone's an idiot, and I'm not even going to bother trying to improve the world." And then she kind of turns him around, basically.
Sure he's a stoic and not a nihilist.
He's not a nihilist. No, he's not a nihilist. He's just he's kind of like outside the social hierarchy by choice because he can't deal with it. But he's not a nihilist. He does appreciate competence, and he does work very hard, and he does find a lot of satisfaction in getting the job done. He just isn't sure that he's surrounded by people that can keep up with him until he meets Molly Beans, who runs circles around him.
Actually, this kind of sounds more like what my life was like through most of my 20s.
Yeah. I mean, Chuck's in his 20s. I mean, he's still got a lot to learn, but he's very bottled up, and he's very much in his own head, and that's the tone I'm going for. So yeah, there's the cover right there for the serial. He's all alone. He's on a very small little spot, and there's nothing around him, nothing in the background. He's just there. It's like, what's going on?
Very stark. You see you see a shadow, and you see a bit of the ground.
Yeah, that's it. And he's just in that very small little circle, and I did that because he lives very much inside his own head and
isolated in a way.
Yeah, isolated, but not because he's an outcast, but because he has no patience. Like he's a good-looking guy. You know, I'll make it very clear that women find him attractive, and he exudes this very quiet confidence and competence that other men naturally want to follow him for. But he just doesn't want to be a leader. He doesn't want to be on a team. He just wants to be left alone and accomplish what he wants to accomplish. And everyone else, he doesn't understand why everyone else just doesn't just shut up and get the job done.
Yeah. Now, something I wanted to talk to you about as well is briefly is the tech, the code tech, or I mean, sorry, the tech talk. I don't even know how to say it.
The tech talk.
He talks a lot about like coding and stuff.
Yeah. I mean,
where's the inspiration come from for that?
Oh, from my work. I've been in the industry for 15 years. I've been a software engineer for about that long, and I've seen a lot of technologies come and go. And the important thing is that I think I have a fairly strong understanding of the industry and how people interact with one another on different kinds of teams and different kind of projects. And I try to put that's like this story's version of world building, to give it a little bit of veracity, but I don't use it to confuse the reader. I just use it to set up a situation that the reader can relate to. Like, you don't have to understand the technology to understand, like, Molly left this file going all weekend, this process running all weekend, that kept writing to a file, and by the time she came back on Monday, it almost brought the company down because it was several hundred gigabytes. It's like, oh, she left the faucet running. That's the joke. You don't have to understand the technology. It's just like she left the faucet running. And so that's what I tend to use the tech talk for. It's just a way to set up a relatable situation.
Kind of like how in the opening we see that part you mentioned where you're seeing that first person perspective, and people are kind of talking, saying, "Oh, I did this. Thanks for doing that," or "I blah blah blah." They're all talking work things, and they're just like, it's like almost like they're all just talking at him, and they're not even really acknowledging him in a way.
Right. They see him as like a tool, and they're like, okay, yeah, I'll take care of that thing for you.
Right.
And the thing is, Chuck's got it to the point where he has automated almost his entire job, to the point where he can control it from an app on his phone. So he literally just sits there being bored because the work he does is so below his competence level that he's automated all of it. So he just sort of sits there and wonders why he's even there anymore. So in the first storyline, he actually just leaves right after he arrives and takes care of his entire day's work by running a few apps on his phone, and then he goes to help his family with stuff, and that's it. So that's the situation as before he meets Molly Beans, is that he has no idea why he even goes to work anymore. And then he meets this young woman who is full of energy and positivity, and it kind of reignites his passion for his work.
Nice. That's really cool. I think people are going to be really excited to read that each issue of the magazine.
I hope so. I'm gonna remaster the artwork and the word balloons to make it, because I've gotten a little bit better at it, and I'm going to do my best to improve it before it gets published in the magazine.
Nice. Yeah. That's exciting. So speaking, we got the magazine coming out. That's going to be coming out in July, and I'm going to be coming out with a magazine in there called Endemic. I'm working with a couple artists, an artist from Spain, Dan Garcia, and colorist from Ireland named Ellie Wright. And looking forward to that. So there's a lot of cool stuff coming out and some really interesting interviews that we have planned and scheduled. So definitely everyone be on the lookout for that. Now we're wrapping up. Oh, sorry, go ahead. We're going to say something? Or? Oh, never. So we're wrapping up here at the end of our hour. What would you guys like to tell all your fans as we look forward to your Kickstarter starting?
Aren't we skipping one announcement?
Oh, maybe.
Remember how we talked about, that
Remind me to get.
Yeah, remember that story I'm working on for Wikid magazine?
Oh, that's right. Oh shit! Thanks for reminding me.
That's great. Yeah, Matt is doing something too for the magazine.
That's right. Yes. That's actually right. I'm really excited to announce it, and we'll be posting. Hopefully, be able to post a little bit of maybe a art piece later. But
you got the. Did you get my DM from earlier?
Let me see. Let me pull it up. But so along the lines of what we were talking about earlier about the magazine. Let's see. Oh, sweet. So you're okay with me showing it now?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Perfect. So I'll go ahead and screen share this. So as I mentioned, I'm coming out with a comic. And then Dan said, just talked about his comic. And Matt is going to be coming out with a serialized light novel series. Nice. And so this is just some art we have here. It's going to be a mech series. which I love mechs, so I'm super stoked. And influences, I believe you said the Gundam novel series. Is that right?
Yep. One of the things that anyone who's read the original novels was that Emerald was not a civilian who got thrown into it. He was actually part of the military before the attack happens. So he had some knowledge of how to pilot the Gundam beforehand. And I figured that with the main character for this new series called Cobalt, that she's a character she's a rookie pilot who's about to go on her first bail, and it goes badly.
How badly?
Badly. Basically, trapped behind enemy lines with a group of our pilots trying to survive. That kind of stuff.
Nice.
Now, is that artwork done by Killbox?
Yes, it is.
You have a discerning eye, my friend.
That is amazing. He has a real eye for technical detail. Look at that.
Yep. Yes. Yeah. I love. Yeah. That's a great point, because the mech design is something that really struck me. You know.
Yeah, I mean that looks like a machine that would work. You know, that would walk and that would move and be properly actuated. That's such a great design.
Which is why I want to.
Yeah, too many mech designs emphasize rule of cool over rule of
realistic gravity.
Yeah, that's a better way.
I absolutely love massive designs where they move slowly and they feel colossal. You know, that's what I really love about, for example, the recent Godzilla films, where he does feel colossal. You know, and
it's not hard to pull. I mean, it is hard to pull off, rather. Yeah.
Actually, I don't know. He's always kind of felt colossal to me in all the movies I've seen. It's just and I think that's just because those suits were always heavy as fuck to move in. I'm not making this up when I say, like, in the first Godzilla movie, it got so hot in there, the suit actor passed out.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Yeah, I would too. I mean, I dressed up as a Ninja Turtle for my brother's birthday once.
They used back then too.
What's that?
You know, it's more than just the weight; it's the materials they used. So breathing in all that stuff, they would probably just get, they would probably get fucked up.
Yeah, they need hazard pay, those actors, man.
Exactly. Yeah, they would need hazmat masks.
Closest I come was this one time when Score was doing a promotion and there was a Chester the Cheetah suit, and I begged my manager to let me put it on. I did, and I found out that this thing really hindered my movement. I basically had to walk around like Vince McMahon just to be able to move right. Like, you guys know what I'm talking. You guys know what I'm talking about? Like how the Vince McMahon walk.
Not exactly.
Yeah. Kind of swaying from side to side as he walks.
You just got to make all these really big, exaggerated movements just so you can actually. And not only that, it's just because this wasn't even like rubber or anything really heavy. It was just like, I think, like felt into some probably some plastic. It still kind of got hot in there though. It was a Chester the Cheetah suit.
No mascot suit.
That's hilarious, dude. I want to capture that. I want to capture that audio of you saying it's a Chester the Cheetah suit, and then like I use that somehow somewhere. Like that's just perfect. Like, I got to incorporate that into the theme song remix, because I'm going to do a theme song remix.
Of course, yeah.
But so yeah, we're looking forward to that series coming out. I think we're going to do, like I said, a new segment of this story each issue. So there's going to be a lot of serialized material to look forward to in the magazine, along with our news, our interviews, our articles, all the other good stuff. Even puzzles. I'm going to do some puzzles and stuff. So yeah, definitely look out for that. We got a lot more announcements coming out soon.
I'm going to take off, guys, just so I can go get ready for work.
Is there any where people can follow you on Twitter?
Yeah, at
otherwise.
Yeah, at Brett1106. I'm gonna put that in the chat right now. I just really gotta take off right now. I gotta be it. But yeah, thanks for
But yeah, thanks for having me on. I'll see you guys on the 25th.
Yep. Awesome. See you guys there for that stream. Later,
right,
Matt. Have a great one.
Bye.
All right. I went ahead and dropped the Mythoverse Instagram account in the chat. That's where you can see most of our latest artwork from our creative teams, and that's set up to auto post to our Twitter account and our Facebook account. So if you want to follow us on Twitter, it's Mythoverse Comics, and also Mythoverse Comics on Instagram. I'll drop the link to our Twitter in there in a second. And I'm really excited about our upcoming projects and the magazine and everything. And I got to tell you, we're a bunch of really driven guys here, and we have a lot of exciting stuff for everybody. So stay tuned. You're gonna have a lot to take in.
And you also have a YouTube channel, isn't that right?
Yes, we do have a Mythoverse YouTube channel. I will get that in the chat right now. And currently what we have on there is all of our trailers. There's a little video where I introduce you to the creative team for Adobe Kroger, and we also have all of our theme songs that ZVT Music has written for the universe and for all three of our comics. And they're all great. I love them.
Yeah, they came out, the trailers, the music, everything has just come out so nice.
Uh-huh. I think the best thing about the music that Zal and Talis has put together is that they all thematically fit together. Like if this were a musical, the Mythoverse theme itself would be the overture that would play at the beginning, and each of the little themes has a little kind of a whisper in that theme song. So Adobe Kroger and Mythics and Changeling, they all go together thematically. It's great.
It'd be fun to put together like those songs into with the other songs into like a playlist for readers to like listen to while they read the comic almost.
Oh yeah,
that'd be cool.
Yeah. I have the songs arranged on our YouTube channel into a playlist.
Nice.
But I would love to get them onto Spotify too.
Right. Or even come out with an album eventually would be cool.
Oh yeah, because these are just the main theme tunes. Like Zalin is definitely versatile enough to come up with like a theme for a specific issue, for example, or a specific sting of action, and that would be great.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And then Matt, where can people find you online?
You can find me at Matt Trin on Twitter. And that's pretty much it for now.
No other no Gab or
no, not until Gab actually stabilizes a bit more.
Yeah, I love the idea of Gab, but every time I try to develop a platform over there, no one follows me over there because it's like, why? We have Twitter.
The current platform that's popular.
Exactly. I mean, for right now, Twitter is where the public is, so that's where we need to be. Instagram has worked out very well for us, though. I highly recommend anyone that's promoting a comic project to get on Instagram and run a couple of promotions and just show people your artwork. I mean, we're closing in on 1,000 followers on Instagram, and it's just from showing people the art. So if your art connects, they will follow you and they will engage. Like the engagement to reach ratio on Instagram has been the best for us so far. Highly recommended. Get on there.
Yeah, and there's I put your Instagram into the YouTube chat as well, so people can go check that out.
Beautiful. Yeah, I just dropped the our Twitter account there too. So,
excellent.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, we also just want to plug a few things as well. We got, of course, you can follow all of our stuff that we do at Wikid Publishing at our Twitter account, our official Twitter account. And then Matt and I both have separate accounts. Mine is at NubGuy. Matt, what is yours?
I am MattB_Zulos.
And we also have an Instagram that we are planning to start building up a little bit more. I think, and but you can also follow us on there, and also we'll go ahead and put our website into the chat as well. We have the website. Let's see, I'll go and put the store actually, so you can go check out. If you go to our store, you can. Oh shoot, sorry. 1 second, I had to delete my cookies recently. Matt, do you have the link by any chance? You can shoot me.
I should. Give me a few moments.
But in the meantime, I just wanted to say I have a couple projects coming out soon. Jeff R. Lasley, you may know him from having worked with Doug on Lone Wolf. We work together. We do barrels together. He does the art and I do the writing on it. And we are finishing up issue number 2. We only have the production is finishing up, and we should be getting that out within the next month or so, I think. And issue 2 is even more action-packed than the first one. It's really awesome. I'm really happy with how it's all turned out.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And then I got my light novel, getting that finished up, editing. So look for that as well. And it's called and then also, like I said a little bit earlier, I have the comic coming out in the magazine Endemic. It's a bit of I like to call it Walking Dead meets Escape from New York. And the brief premise is being that a zombie apocalypse in a very far future kind of breaks out in major cities, and they build these giant walls to quarantine it all. And the people inside are left to just fend for themselves, and it picks up 10 years after that, and how they've had to survive, and it's become like a gang-controlled, mafia-controlled wasteland while the rest of the world kind of has moved on. And so that'll be fun.
You sold me already because I'm a huge John Carpenter fan, and Escape from New York is one of my favorite movies.
Oh, nice, dude. Yeah, I loved it. If you can believe it, I just saw it for the first time this year.
No, that's funny.
I fell in love with it. Yeah,
I just put it inside the Hangout chat, but
thank you.
I actually didn't have the bookmark, so I actually tried something. I went to Google. Actually, we can actually now just say Google. If you guys, anybody can go to Google and then just type in Wikid Publishing Store or Wikid Publishing website, and you will see some of our main pages and where to get online comics, our store, our website, and even our Twitter as well.
Well, that's freaking cool.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Great. That's the power of word of mouth. You know, like me and Michael haven't put any Google ads yet to make us as part of the top results or anything for searches. That's just all of word of mouth. So that shows the power of that.
Yeah, build your community, man.
Right, exactly. So yeah, we got the store on there, and we got a lot of good stuff on there. Sporkman's on there right now. If you guys want to, honestly, if you want to support the Spork, go buy this book too, because the Indiegogo is a great way to do it, and also this way, because something you're not offering through the Indiegogo is the Sporkman convention. And so if you want to get that and help, and they get profits from that, so that helps them put out more books and stuff. So definitely show them some love. And eBuy's on there, and so yeah, we've got a growing selection, and so go check that out. And yeah, and I think that about wraps it up. Is there anything else you guys would like to say to your fans out there?
Hope to see you next week. We got a lot of great stuff to show you, and you will not be disappointed if you back our campaign. Getting in on the ground floor, we are launching a brand here, not just 3 books, and we have a lot of plans. So the better this campaign does, the more we'll be able to do. So we hope we can count on your support next week.
Definitely, yeah, and we'll be definitely excited to show everyone with our stream that day. We're gonna be celebrating big, getting the right way with our stream, man. I'm so excited for your campaign. I think it's gonna be awesome, dude.
Us too. I cannot wait to get this launched. I cannot wait. I'm so glad to be part of the Wikid team. I'm so glad to be working with Matt and Brett and all of our artists. They are the hardest working people I've ever met, and it's going to show. These are going to be good books. You're going to love them. They're going to be fun to read, full of action, great characters, and fantastic artwork.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's exciting, dude. That's going to be great. So, yeah, everyone, be sure to follow them on their different sites and check it out when it comes out next week. We're going to be going live, so come back again. We'll see you there. Thanks for joining us, guys, and this has been the Wikid Weekend Podcast. We'll see you guys next time.
Always a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Later, guys.
Later.
Have a great one.